most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m. The feeling of a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist, born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars, found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that is not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered landing? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
There used to be a time in auto racing when the only experience you could get was behind the wheel of a real car. There used to be a time when racing games were just for fun. There used to be a time where you had to have deep pockets or a famous family to step behind the wheel of a race car. That changes tonight. The SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge comes to a close tonight at Road Atlanta, where we'll crown a champion after 11 events this season. The champion will get their choice of one of 3 grand prizes, each valued at over $4,000. Tonight, someone's dream of becoming a race car driver becomes a reality, and it all begins now. Welcome to the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel for the final round of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge, utilizing the iRacing motorsport simulation platform. We're very excited to finally get this underway for 2019 to finish out the season and crown a champion.
Yeah, and it's amazing, especially considering we started in February. It's already October. After 20 races, and after tonight, it'll be 22 races. We'll crown ourselves a champion in this series, and man, is it going to be close.
Absolutely. Now we're joined now by the CEO of Winding Road, Tom Martin. Tom, welcome finally to get you on one of these broadcasts to talk a little bit about Winding Road, the SPEC MX-5 Challenge, and more. First of all, welcome to, I guess, your own YouTube channel and our broadcast here on SimTV, so welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I guess I want to start off first with what's the mission of Winding Road and Winding Road Racing and its place in the motorsports world?
Well, we've been trying to build a company that supplies a variety of the things that racers, especially new racers, need to go racing, we found ourselves in a situation where we loved racing, and we ran into a lot of people who had questions about how to do it and how to get involved. And so we wanted to be the guys who were welcoming the people who were relatively new to the sport and could get people the equipment and the experiences that they needed.
How would you describe the rise of Winding Road, both in its media ventures and in racing? Because I think I speak for a lot of people that Winding Road has kind of become an empire in its own right, both on the YouTube channel with the point of view driving videos as well as in the racing world.
Yeah, we came in and invested a substantial amount of money and effort to try to do a really good job, and I hope that's reflected in the level of customer service we're giving people, as well as our efforts to cover the entire country. I don't know if you noticed, but we just opened a store in Atlanta, across from Road Atlanta, so that pretty much gives us coast-to-coast coverage on the retail side, and we've been trying to focus our race team efforts on pretty broad coverage as well, and I think that's given us a little bit larger presence maybe than the typical race shop or the typical race store. And anyway, I hope we're doing a good job, and we really appreciate the people who supported us.
Absolutely. Of course, the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge models a real-world series, the SPEC MX-5 Challenge, and it's certainly a pretty unique series, but I'd like to ask you to describe what makes the real-world SPEC MX-5 Challenge such a unique series, especially split into its West and East series itself.
Well, you know, it's kind of instructive to understand how we got to the SPEC MX-5 Challenge, because we looked at SPEC Miata and we just loved SPEC Miata. That's where I got my start, and I know a lot of people who really like SPEC Miata. And we were also running global MX-5 Cup teams, and we liked a lot of the stuff that we saw there. And we thought, wow, if we could really combine some of the benefits of these two different offerings, we might really have something to get the competition and accessibility to drivers close to what SPEC Miata has, and at the same time run pro tracks and have pro feel to the whole equation. Then we thought taking that from Global MX-5 Cup would be kind of nice, and so we tried to drop a series right in between SPEC Miata and Global MX-5 Cup and put it on the ladder for those people who are trying to go farther. But if you're not trying to go farther, to just deliver a really solid experience. And, you know, it's not easy to start a racing series, especially not on a national scale, so I think we've made good progress, but I really believe next year will be the breakthrough year for us with a lot of new elements to the offering.
Absolutely. I also understand that there is a new generation of SPEC MX-5 car for next year. Could you speak a little bit about what those changes have been and about your excitement level for that car for next year?
Sure. The current car is based on the NC generation MX-5, the cars that were made from 2006 to 2014, and that'll still be true. But we spent a lot of time working with Mazda Motorsports, identifying some of the elements that are critical to making a spec series work well, and I'll just give you a couple of examples. For next year, we'll have a new engine that'll come from Roush, which is nice, and it has more power than we've got right now, so we'll be up about 15 horsepower or maybe 10%, and that's good. More power, I guess, is always good until you start breaking things. But the real advantage to having Roush and Molly and the Mazda Motorsports guys working on the engine is that the engine is very easy to tack and rather difficult to cheat, and that's an important element of a spec car. And so we've tried to think through all the elements of the car to make it relatively low cost, fair competition platform for spec racing.
Absolutely. So I want you to tell me a little bit about why you feel it's important to invest in sim racing and the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. I think there's definitely a push lately in esports and in digital racing simulation, but why is it important for Winding Road and for SPEC MX-5 to utilize iRacing as potentially a place to foster young talent?
Well, I mean, the simple reason is you could say that racing costs too much. And so really our mission is to try to figure out how to get the cost of racing down. And sim racing does that. So we wanted, first of all, to acknowledge that sim racing is a part of the sport in its own right. And, you know, we're not the only ones doing that. I think a lot of people have seen the light on that. But we wanted to recognize and create a fun venue for sim racing as an integral part of what we were doing with SPEC MX-5. Secondly, we've had direct experience because we had Mark Drennan on our team for a number of years with the transition that people make from sim racing into real racing and how successful they can be. And our thought, and again, this isn't unique either, but our pretty strong thought is that there's something about sim racing, and I think I could describe what it is, but that's secondary. There's something about sim racing that actually builds a set of talents that once you get in a so-called real car, are a real advantage. So we hope that by having the Sim Racing Challenge, we can build a little bit of a pipeline into SPEC MX-5, which, as I said before, is part of the ladder series, and use sim racing as a source for new drivers in road racing in general, but SPEC MX-5 specifically.
I guess I got a couple more questions, but I think one of the final ones I wanted to ask was, we know that sim racers learn a lot from watching and participating in real-world racing, but what can a real driver learn from sim racers? Is there anything that goes that's applicable in the other direction?
Well, yeah, I think there are two things that stand out in my mind, and I'm not the world's expert on this, so I'll just give you two of probably what should be a longer list. One thing that's fantastic about sim racing is the amount of seat time you can get. And everybody who's driving real race cars knows that seat time equates to being able to do things, particularly in traffic, in the heat of battle in a race, that you couldn't do if you didn't have a comparable amount of seat time. And most drivers who are on a budget, which is realistically practically everybody, just can't be in the car as much as they can be in the simulator cockpit. And so just being able to build up that base of seat time in racing situations, that's the other part of it. You're not just turning laps. You're building seat time in a racing environment is really a fantastic thing. The other piece that we've seen that you can sort of develop in a real race car, but the hours really pour it on in sim racing, is sim racers seem to have a visual sense of what the car is doing that makes them have faster reactions than the average driver does. And that's the skill I was alluding to before that may almost uniquely come from sim racing for most amateur guys. Pro guys are in the car every week. Pro guys are in the car every couple of days. They're getting a ton of time in building this up. But that visual sense of what the car is doing seems to make sim racers faster in their reactions, and that turns into lower lap times.
Tom, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I just want to have one final question about where do you see Winding Road and the SPEC MX-5 Challenge in the real world and the sim racing version? Where do you see those 5-10 years from now, and what are the goals for the future?
Well, the goal we've set out for the series itself is to have 1,000 cars running 5 years from now, and that would make the SPEC MX-5 class car the second largest behind SPEC Miata road racing car in the United States. And it's not sheer size. We just want to have an impact and put on an excellent level of competition pretty much no matter where you want to run. We, and I'm speaking for myself here, we like the, epic tracks like Watkins Glen and Sonoma and Coda and VIR, but it's also great to be able to go, 20 or 30 miles and go to a track like I grew up at Blackhawk Farms. And so having a large car count allows you to have racing for SPEC MX-5 pretty much everywhere, and we think that's important to be able to fulfill the vision I talked about before. So that's the goal.
That was, of course, Tom Martin, the CEO of Winding Road. Tom, thank you so much for joining us and talking. Really looking forward to a great race tonight, and thank you so much for the support this season and hopefully into the future. We appreciate your time, and have a good night.
Thank you. You guys have been great.
Thanks a lot. All right, so that was, of course, Tom Martin, the CEO of Winding Road. I think he had some really cool things to say about not only the SPEC MX-5 Challenge, but also its place, the Sim Racing Challenge's place as a racing competition and to set up people for the future.
Yeah, and I think really, especially over the course of even just this year, and I think you can obviously throw 2018 in there as well, is a lot of motorsports bodies are starting up, or just motorsports organizations are starting up their own esports series. I mean, in fact, we're doing Speed 51 on our channel. Those guys have started up a esports series with the modifieds. Then there's obviously the F1 esports series, the NASCAR esports series, and a whole bunch of actual teams are hiring drivers for that, just purposely for the sim racing part of it. So it's really amazing how much sim racing has become more important in the eyes of actual race teams for potential talent. Before you had to be in a physical race car, and now you don't necessarily have to. And I think it's a great chance for a lot of drivers to get that opportunity. And really, just for the matter of fact, for anyone that gets behind the wheel on a computer has a chance of getting an actual ride.
Absolutely. So qualifying is almost complete right now. DJ Alessandrini, Robert Hartley at the top of the board. We'll go over the point situation in a moment. We also want to introduce Peter Enzer. I think he's hanging out with us here in the booth. Peter, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey,
how are you?
There's Peter. How are you, buddy? Good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. So welcome again, Peter. Of course, this is the season finale. I think one of the other races you were here for was one of the Road Atlanta races. So as we set up for our final race of the season, we want to welcome you here. Of course, a competitor in the Global MX-5 series, driving an ND2 MX-5 there. A successful season campaign there. We have Jackson Robillard, another competitor, actually helping us out tonight as well. But Peter, I have a couple questions for you as we get set up to grid tonight. The first of them is about trust. Tonight, there's going to be a lot of trust going on because right now the point situation, if you get incident points, it's going to impact the outcome of the championship. So how do you balance trust versus aggression, not only in your racing in the Global MX-5 series, but also in the simulator vying for a title?
Yeah, kind of through the whole season, you have to build a mutual respect with your competitors out there. And really, at this point in the season, you kind of want to, if you're in the championship hunt, you kind of expect to get some respect from some people who aren't necessarily as high in the points. and expect a little more room and try to have as clean a race as possible because you definitely don't want to throw it away.
So, of course, incident points is going to be very important. They could decide the championship. I cannot talk tonight, can I? The championship tonight. But do you think drivers are going to be pushing and shoving all over the place, knowing that those incident points will equalize the field? Or do you think that everyone's going to be very careful and try to gather that extra bonus point for driving a clean race? Like, do you think everyone's going to go out there and push and shove, knowing everyone's got to get on a level playing field? Or do you think everyone's going to drive extremely carefully to avoid those penalty points?
I think people might be a little careful to start off until a little bit later in the race. They start to get a little more desperate. Then I think all bets will be off at the end.
Absolutely. So, Finian, let's go over the point standing situation. Coming into the night, DJ Alessandrini right now comes on in. The points were seeded and set up based on the number of wins and the finishes that you've had. DJ Alessandrini sits at 38 over Robert Hartley, Christopher Henn, Paul Darling, and Nathan Saxon. So we take a look at this list. I think the three drivers at the top are the ones to me that have a shot to win this championship tonight. But if anything goes wrong, any of these drivers could be eliminated.
Yeah, and it's amazing because with this whole points reset, I wouldn't say that all the last 20 races are for nothing, but their importance has been greatly diminished. Obviously, of course, it matters in where you're seated, but the gaps. Alessandrini coming to this race, he had a 26-point lead over Hartley. That was pretty much in one entire race, and a little bit of extra change over Hartley. He can now kiss that goodbye. He's right in behind him now, only 2 points behind. So yeah, if one of these guys, if Alessandrini, if he crashes out. Race 1, we got about 15 or so guys here. He's down 15 points in race number 2. That's going to be a very hard thing to come back from.
Yeah, if you remember back at Watkins Glen, the last round we had just before this event, we actually had DJ Alessandrini crash out at the first round, so the first race of that round. So anything can happen as we get set up to race here tonight. Take a look at our track conditions. We show them during qualifying, but relatively cool temperature, 75 in the air, 80 on the racetrack, which is really cool for Brazelton, Georgia. We were there a couple months ago for Grid Life, so this track can typically be pretty hot, but evening racing tonight. Peter, does the temperature change how you're going to race here tonight, or is Atlanta one of those tracks that tends to change a lot with the temperature, or is it going to probably be just pretty normal action this evening?
Yeah, Atlanta is a track that changes with the temperature. There's definitely a lot more grip when it's a little bit cooler out, so you can have a lot more confidence and make some more aggressive moves, knowing that you'll have that little bit of extra grip when you go into the corners.
All right, so field gridding up and ready to go racing. We want to thank our sponsors for coming on board and sponsoring all season long. Rick Motec High Performance Sim Racing Equipment. All the links are available in the video description for these sponsors, but of course, Rick Motec offering per race prizes, and they do some incredible sim racing hardware. LevelUp Racing School offering one of the season end prizes. Finny, and I'm so jealous whoever wins this championship getting to run a 2-day racing school with LevelUp. Of course, Paradigm Shift driver development. This company is really cool and takes a more modern approach to analyzing driving and racing, and uses technology to aid drivers in their pursuit of success on the racetrack. So Paradigm Shift, they also offer some exceptional track maps and track guides you can find on their website. And of course, Winding Road Racing, Winding Road Magazine for sponsoring this whole series and allowing us to be here tonight. Of course, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and DeCuna. We're Sim TV, a little smaller YouTube channel. You can go to visit by going to www.youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting. And that is us. We've, of course, met Tom Martin earlier. We've got Peter Enzer kind of hanging out. And Peter, we want to thank you for coming. And I'm not sure how long you can stay, but if you would like to stay the whole time, as you have in the past, you're welcome to. Otherwise, thanks for coming. I know it was just a short time, but got a lot of exciting racing about to kick off here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I'll be hanging out for a while.
All right, sounds good. All right, rolling off for a pace lap, Finian. Short races tonight.
Yep.
And your thoughts? Of course, we have live point standings, points accumulated per race. So we'll have that popped up on the screen as soon as we get rolling here. But your thoughts, your expectations for tonight? We know DJ Alessandrini walks in as the points leader, perhaps the driver to beat, but Robert Hartley has beat him almost as much as DJ's beat him.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Robert Hartley should be starting in second place.
Yeah, right alongside.
Yeah, and we're looking in both practice and even I was seeing at the end of qualifying, these guys are separated by under a tenth of a second, by hundreds and even thousandths of a second. So it's going to be an all-out duel. I really think, going into this, I was thinking this the entire month before this race, going to this, it's going to be a battle between these two. I think these guys, especially considering the fact that they have the most wins in the series by a long shot. Alessandrini with 6, Hartley with 4. Even Hartley too. You can argue that he probably should have a few more. Had some bad luck in a few races here and there. So really, I think it's going to be a battle between these two, and it's going to be incredibly close, especially considering the gap is only 2 points.
At the beginning of the year, all these drivers in the field had no real-world racing experience, and most of them still don't. But at the end of the night, one of these drivers will get the opportunity to kickstart their real-world racing career, all based on competition in the iRacing Motorsport Simulation Service. This is so exciting. I can't wait to see how this is going to go tonight.
I really am looking forward to this. Relatively smaller field, especially compared to last week, but I think, again, with what's at stake here, I don't think that's going to matter at all.
The focus will be on the front of the field. Of course, the drivers to beat in the points, the 91, the 03, and the 33, of course, starting first, second, and fourth, and then right behind them in third, that's the 42 of Michael Borden, who's improved quite a bit over the course of the season. And again, I'm just so excited to see somebody walk away with $4,000 worth of prizes. And again, if you're interested in what those prizes are or some more detailed descriptions, you can find those links and that information in the video description, or head to Winding Road Magazine's website to read about SPEC MX-5 and more. So very excited to get this one underway as we head down the hill towards turn number 10. A challenging passing zone, but perhaps the best one here tonight after a long straightaway bump drafting. Going to be probably the way to win the race tonight. Peter, we know bump drafting is always important, but I think tonight especially, turn 10, is that where we're going to see the pass for the win, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be close all the way to the end, and turn 10 is definitely a spot with a lot of action.
All right, down the hill through turns 11 and 12. DJ Alessandrini coming on through, the pole sitter for tonight, the points leader. Can he hang on and win the championship? Green flag flies, racing in the season finale of the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge, and they're off and running.
Yeah, they're off and running and already single file and getting ready for turn 1, and I don't blame them for it. It's very hard to go side by side through this section.
Up the hill for the first time, Borden slots into P2, puts Robert Hartley down a spot. You're going to see the live points on the right-hand side of the screen. These are the points earned this race. Right now, Alessandrini would be padding his points lead by 2 points over Robert Hartley.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, too, is that you're going to almost have to win this race to win the championship overall, at least one of them. So currently Alessandrini holding that spot, but don't be, keep an eye on Michael Borden in second. I was talking with Alessandrini earlier. He was concerned that Borden might be a threat, especially after he's done very well in the last few races.
DJ Alessandrini trying to break that draft and pull away. If you can get out of the draft, you're home free. Right now, Michael Borden tucked in second, Hartley in third, Chris Henn, the postman, in fourth. And we've seen him win a couple races this season. Certainly a threat for the championship if one of these other two makes a misstep. So he's going to be up here drafting, and here's where we see the accordion effect. Everyone tightening up together. Look at this on the back straightaway. Everyone getting tight as they head towards turn number 10.
Yeah, and there you already see, I believe, that's Hartley, and behind Borden starting to get a little bit of a draft. He's looking to be a little bit patient, though, and again, that's a very smart thing to do. As the top 4, you see them slowly breaking away from Paul Darling and Jesse Stevens in behind.
Down the hill towards turn 10, everyone still in line. Hartley pops out, taking a look down the inside of the 42. Here comes Hartley for second. Can't quite get the job done, but behind him, Nathan Saxon to the inside of Mitchell Peak in the 21. That pass is completed for 7th. 1 lap complete, and DJ's going to lead it. Again, all the points are based off of is finishing position. There's no funny business, with the exception of the penalty points. If you'd like to explain that, there is no penalty for hitting the incident limit like there has been in the past, but there is a bonus for running this race without having any incidents, off tracks or contacts.
Yeah, so basically you get 2 points in race. This for race 1, it changes for race 2, but we'll get to that later. You get 2 points for having 2 or less incidents in race number 1. And you get 1 point for having 3 to 6 incidents in race 1. So it's going to place a bigger emphasis. I think we're going to see this too on guys racing a lot more cleaner than they used to. Before, you would get an off track here and there. That's fine, no big deal in the grand scheme of things. But here, these few points are going to matter so much. That especially if Alessandrini gets a bunch of off tracks and Borden has a completely clean race, he can have more points than Alessandrini at the finish line. So it's going to be very important. And Alessandrini was telling me about it. He was really concerned about that being a big issue for some of these guys tonight.
Peter, DJ Alessandrini leading this race right now. He's half a second up the road. He just didn't quite get a great exit off of 7. Is there anything you can do as the leader to try to break that draft, or is it pretty much impossible with this sort of car?
Yeah, you can try to move out of the way a little bit going on the straightaway, and it'll help break it up a little bit, especially if the cars behind you don't follow or they start getting side by side behind you. But it's pretty hard to do.
And Michael Borden just gave a huge shove to the back of DJ Alessandrini on the back straightaway. That could have been the contact that gave the 91 some incidents, so we'll have to keep an eye on those incident points. But Michael Borden in second place gave the 91 a shot, and now they're 1, 2, 3. Alessandrini, Borden, Hartley as they come down the hill.
Yeah, that's a big too, because if you give someone a big enough shove, you get 4 incident points just for doing that. So it's a big, and you only get 1 for going off the track. So again, these guys are going to be keeping an eye at the top of the screens and watching for those prompts to make sure that they're still in the good.
Paul Darling in the number 55. We haven't really talked a whole lot about him this season, but as he comes in here, Finney, he's 4th in the standings. He could win this whole thing as well. Remember, he also won the SCCA's SRF competition, the Spec Racer Ford that was done in iRacing earlier this year. He won that esports competition overall, so we know he's extremely talented in low power, high grip, mechanical grip cars like this. So setting himself up to get up inside the top 4 here as the 42 runs real wide at a turn 5, and that's going to set up Hartley to try to swing to the outside.
And again, he's also lurking, and he's only 6 points behind some of these guys in front of him. So again, he's just kind of hoping that they get some incident points or potentially even crash out too. That'll be big for him.
Whoa!
He can take those points. Ooh, contact between Borden and the 33 of Chris Henn, and that was pretty significant content on the wheels.
Yeah, I think Borden was trying to move his way over to the left before entering turn 7. Kind of shoved the 33 off course a little bit. We'll see how the stewards take that, but I think we should be all good. No one else really suffered from that. Chris Henn going to lose some time, but DJ loved watching them battle. He gained 0.6 of a second on them down the back straightaway, trying to run away, but we know how good Hartley is. One of the best racers in the iRacing service, is actually on the first page of iRatings. That's basically your driver skill level, and he closes right in on DJ in turn 10.
Yeah, that's out of several thousand drivers from across the world, and even including pros as well, on the list as well, and he's still on the first page. So he's done a fantastic job in iRacing. You see 9,600 for him, and trying to chase down Alessandrini right in front of him.
Yeah, the MX-5 is really his bread and butter. He's typically an ND driver in the service, but of course the SPEC MX-5 uses the NC Miata, so Hartley has had to get used to that, and I think that's the advantage DJ Alessandrini had coming in, is this was a relatively new car for both of them to relearn after having really been extinct on the iRacing service for so long. But I think DJ, he's so quick and so he can adapt so easily to different challenges, and that's what's made him so good this season. I don't care what car you put DJ in, he's good. Hartley's just especially good in the MX-5. Through turn 5, 4 laps into what should be about 13-lap race. Again, 14.5 minutes left to go as we make our way through the final race of the season, the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. Alessandrini leads Hartley, Borden, your top 3. Then a couple tenths of a second back to Jesse Stevens, who had to abandon the series for some, I think he was moving or something along the lines, had a personal life issue and couldn't return to the series, but he's finally made it back and competing here in the last race of the season.
Yeah, I see him pretty much picking up right where he left.
Down the long back straightaway, got Robert Hartley tucked up behind him, and Borden's trying to see if he can get back around Hartley, and again, he clears the 42 for second. Here comes Jesse Stevens, and Hartley back to 4th. He was trying to wrestle 3rd back away.
You see him get single file out for turn 3. This is a big corner, and not one you want to really be taking side by side. In fact, at the Petit Le Mans that just finished a week or 2 ago, someone got shoved off in that corner, in that exact corner. So you want to be careful. You guys being fairly careful for the most part. That was amazing.
Well, I don't know if going 3 wide through turn 12 is careful or not. Peter, turn 12 at Road Atlanta is exceptionally terrifying in any speed or race car, but how comfortable are you racing side by side this early in the race, especially in a corner that's that fast?
It's very intimidating. That's not really the place you want to be side by side. These cars, you can do it full throttle pretty easily by yourself. When you're side by side, it definitely gets real scary real fast.
Chris Henn up to 4th, managed to get by Robert Hartley. This is not looking good for the 03. Let's take a look at the points as they stand. Robert Hartley will only be receiving 16 in the position that he is in. And you look at DJ Alessandrini, who's leading this race, 20. So again, that's the difference that's gonna be. That 4 points is extraordinarily huge. If you swap those positions right now, the 03 of Hartley would win the championship as it is. So that's how much things change.
Indeed. So waiting to see how they're gonna get sorted out. Actually, he's gonna be even, I think, less for Hartley when they come. Oh, actually, no, it is correct as well.
Yep, it is correct. It's showing the position, live position, and then now it'll reorganize at the line. There it is. So we see Hartley down in 5th, 16 points. Jesse Stevens with 19, DJ Alessandrini with 20. Again, they came in DJ with 38 and Hartley with 36. So the 4-point swing would just do nothing but add to Alessandrini's total. So far, so good for the 91 machine.
Even sticking out in front. I mean, he's done a good job of being able to keep these little gaps. We did see it get a very hairy there more in the back part of the course, but definitely Alessandrini's better in the front part, pretty much past turn 5. He's been really solid through here.
Yeah, runs a little bit wide on the exit at turn 5. Remember, DJ has actually run Grid Life Touring Cup here back a few months ago, was at Road Atlanta, and I know that he was talking to, I think, Eric Catil, who was also a competitor, not only in the Grid Life iRacers League, but also in Grid Life Touring Cup, and DJ discovered something about turn 10 specifically, and this is something that's so cool about sim racing, is you can learn something in the real world and apply it back to the sim, and I think DJ figured out turn 10 especially, and I think if it comes down to that last corner, I think this 91 car is the one to watch. So now Jesse Stevens in line in second place, Borden, Henn, Hartley your top 5, then Darling, Peak, Saxon, Bresci, Pfeiffer the rest of your top 10. Look at Chris Henn now, wrestling back by the 42. Remember, there was some contact when that position was traded, and I think Chris Henn wants it back.
Yeah, definitely going to try to take that spot back. He's going to send it down deep into turn 10.
Wow.
Goes through turn 10A and B and will take the spot back.
Yeah, uses all the curbs through 10A and 10B, climbs the hill, has the spot. Now he's third, but look at all the ground they've lost to those front 2 drivers. You see Michael Borden getting set up to push him down the front straightaway. And I think that's what the 42 is going to have to do. They need to team up if they want to catch those front 2, because Stevens and Alessandrini, look, Stevens can't win the championship, at least not just with DJ running this well. So he just wants to push DJ out far ahead and make it a 2-man race.
Yeah, and again, I think Alessandrini hopes that they continue to fight amongst themselves, so that way you can try to drive away from them. Alas, the top 6 still remain within a group, and there you see the second pack that I haven't really talked about. We got Mitchell Peak, Nathan Saxon, Thomas Bresci, and Luke Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Thomas Bresci's had some awful luck this season, and he's still technically in the championship hunt, but it would take a whole lot for that to happen. So really just running for fun and to try to get a race victory.
Yeah, I was going to say, and really he's just kind of hoping, if anything, for the championship, that something absolutely disastrous happens to the 6 guys ahead of him.
And slots into third around Borden. Again, Borden was trying to fight back, and Borden's really been a thorn in Henn's side so far. But again, everyone's racing for every little bit of ground that they can get. But Henn making up these positions. But he needs to finish in front of DJ Alessandrini to have a chance in race 2.
Yeah, and again, pretty much that goes for almost all these drivers, save for maybe Hartley, who's his closest competitor. But again, Hartley back in 5th. I wonder if he's just kind of waiting to make his final charge to the front, one single super, if he's going to try to take this piece by piece.
Down the long back straightaway, look at the run Stevens has. I don't know if he'll pop out of line. He might just stay in line and push the 91. He does, but now the 33's caught right back up. Borden out of line through turn 10.
Yeah, I've noticed these guys, they're only really making these lunges down into turn 10 if they're confident they're actually going to make the pass successful.
Oh,
There's
man.
Borden again with an aggressive move out of turn 11 and down to turn 12. He's really enjoying this passing opportunity.
Side by side, and Borden has been good through turn 10. And looking for the lead, Jesse Stevens out to the inside of DJ Alessandrini. And Chris Henn, he needs that 13 to pass the 91. Get him in your clutches. When he's out front, he's got control of the race. But now, Henn's got to deal with the 42. A big bounce over the curb as they go through turn 1.
Yeah, and almost into the side of Chris Henn. There you see Hartley taking advantage of this to try to pass Borden down into turn 3. Someone's got to give.
Wow, the 42 might have chopped turn 3 there. That's a cut course if you cut it too much. But Hartley wrestles his way on by for 4th. And Chris Henn now sits right behind DJ Alessandrini. And the points are going to swap around as this happens. Now, look, Jesse Stevens with the most points. Alessandrini only with 19. Chris Henn with 18, but here comes Henn to the outside of DJ Alessandrini.
Yeah, Alessandrini, we talked about him going wide there, and Henn took advantage of that. He's going to get a run on Alessandrini. Not quite clear by entry, but we'll get him by the middle of the corner.
Chris Henn, a power move around the outside, has won a couple races this season as they came into the night. This was the points before the race started. Chris Henn was 4 points behind DJ Alessandrini, so right now he has a 1 point gain on the 91 car. Still needs a couple more to get the job done for the championship. But again, we still have another race after this.
Yeah, and he's actually, speaking of which, he's already trying to get that extra point. He's going to have a run on Jesse Stevens, a huge run, and go to the outside. You see the 13's pretty much a sitting duck now.
Door to door for the lead, and DJ Alessandrini to tuck in behind Jesse Stevens. Maybe push him, maybe step out of line. But what does DJ Alessandrini do here? And Peter, I guess my question is, now that DJ's lost the lead, is it now just a chess match? What do you do if you're DJ Alessandrini? Do you wrestle the lead back, or do you sit here behind these two leaders and wait for something to happen?
Yeah, he's going to want to sit back and regroup for a minute, think about what he wants to do, and not make any mistakes is the big thing. You don't want to lose any more than you already have. You want to regroup and just wait for the opportunity to present itself when these two in front of you start racing, and try to make a move when you can.
Talking, You saw that Chris Henn, after going a little bit wide, Stevens took advantage of that in turn 11 and made a pass on the inside. So Jesse Stevens back up to the front.
Yeah, Chris Henn right now is flying. He looks really good right now. Remember back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Probably could have and probably should have won that race, but blew the motor on a downshift. We've been seeing that be a struggle all year long for these drivers, is downshifting too early, being too aggressive on the gearbox. You have to take care of your equipment. These races are not long, but if you're abusive on your car, you're going to cut your race short. So that's another consideration, is in the heat of the moment while you're racing, don't forget to just drive the car. If you make a mistake shifting, you could end your championship hopes with one misshift. 5 laps to go, roughly 5 to go. It should be about 5.5 minutes left when we get back to the start-finish line. Jesse Stevens leads the way, Chris Henn in second, Alessandrini third, Hartley in fourth, Borden fifth. As it stands right now, Alessandrini would still be the driver in position to win the championship. It needs either Hartley to get by him and get to the lead, or for Chris Henn to gain 2 or 3 more spots.
Here comes Chris Henn with another run on Jesse Stevens, exactly what he did last time. We'll be looking to the inside down into turn 10, and we'll get it before the corner entry.
Riding on board, DJ Alessandrini. A big run, but you can't really do much behind the 13, so trying to set up for the exit as you climb the hill. All these cars are just momentum cars. They don't have a whole lot of power, so you're just trying to keep your speed up and not use the brakes as much as possible. Drag them, don't stomp on them. Through the final corner and setting themselves up. 4 laps to go now at Road Atlanta, and here comes Alessandrini, a move to the inside for turn 1.
Yeah, that box of Stevens in behind. Chris Henn couldn't do anything, and now Alessandrini over the curbs violently.
Whoa, Stevens is out wide! Off the course through turn 1, scatters everyone behind him, but he's going to get back on course down in 6th position as Darling moves on through. Move DJ back to 2nd, Hartley to 3rd.
Might have to take a second to recollect himself, because that could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, here's a quick look. This was on the outside of the 91, gave him room, but then just ran out wide and got into the grass and lost a couple spots. A crucial moment there, because every position that Jesse Stevens lost there is a point for the drivers behind him. So Robert Hartley back up in 30. He's got Borden tucked in behind, but Chris Henn leads the way, half a second up the road, and again, trying to break that draft if you can.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough thing to do. He pretty much had Jesse Stevens as a rear gunner for a little bit, and now he's got Alessandrini and Hartley in behind him. And the way things are running too, Chris Henn really needs another driver to get in between himself and Alessandrini to get him an extra point.
Last time by, Chris Henn ran a 138.166. DJ Alessandrini ran a 138.282. The quickest driver in that entire group was actually Michael Borden, a 137.741. Again, a lot of these times heavily influenced by draft, though. Down through turn 10A and 10B, up and over the curbs. The line looking like a snake as they climb the hill. 3 laps to go this time through.
Crossing over and down the hill. It's been relatively quiet over the last few laps. Guys, I think settling in, at least for now. But I really think once we get to the white flag, all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, so again, look at the points they've gained. So Chris Henn, he had a 4-point deficit walking into this race. If things were to finish as they are, you'd only have a 3-point deficit. That makes your job in race 2 that much easier, but I don't think DJ is done trying yet. We know how good he is. He looks to me very collected, calm, and patient right now, and he's not going to be on that white flag.
And I think that's the big thing, too, is that you can't entirely rest on your laurels, because you don't know what's going to happen in race number 2. A lot of things could happen, and, you know, he could be, if he's too calm with this and doesn't get that position back, and if he ends up losing the championship by 1 point, he might be looking at this where he could easily take the lead back. So I definitely think he's going to go for it. You pretty much have to in this scenario.
So this discussion this week that DJ was asking about was what are exactly the rules? What do I need to know exactly? He studies this rule set and needs to know exactly what his situation is, because he said, I play to the rules, and if there's a gray area, I'm going to use that gray area. That's the sign to me of an expert. And Peter, in terms of racing in the Global MX-5 Challenge, I know the rules, at least in terms of track limits we saw at COTA, relatively loosey-goosey, but talk to me about the gray area of rules and how to use those to your advantage to be faster.
Yeah, in SPEC series there's not a lot of gray area, but where it exists, you definitely want to take advantage of it and try to get a little bit of an advantage over your competitors because the competition is so close. So you definitely want to take every little advantage you can get, and it all makes a little bit of a difference.
So Chris Henn leads the way, and of course DJ right behind him, setting themselves up for the last 2 laps here at Road Atlanta. Just 2 more to go around here before we'll set them up for race number 2, and that's where we'll determine our champion tonight. But right now, Chris Henn has dominated the last quarter of this race. Alessandrini sits in behind Robert Hartley, the 3 championship contenders, 1, 2, and 3. It always seems to work out this way, Finian. But a problem for guys like Chris Henn is if the other guys that are in the championship, Alessandrini and Hartley, are right behind him, it's going to be difficult for Chris Henn to actually gain anything in the points. So you need somebody to make a mistake, I think, if you're Chris Henn. Hartley still needs to finish at least 2 spots better over the course of the night to beat DJ. So it's going to be tight. And tiebreaker, I believe, would go to DJ if he gets another second place here tonight, because Robert Hartley has fewer wins, but if he wins both races tonight, that would put he and DJ on equal footing. Then it would go to second places, which in that case, if DJ were to finish second, it would put him as the tiebreaker. So all these scenarios you have to worry about coming into the last race, but we're almost to the white flag lap already in race number 1.
Yeah, this is where I think this is really where the fun's going to begin here in a little bit. And we also have Nathan Saxon. He's caught the tail end of this field. Yeah, might not be able to do a whole lot from this position back here, but in case something does happen, he'll be picking up a lot of the pieces. And here we go. Alessandrini with a pass on Chris Henn.
Oh, he got some help. 3 wide. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead down in turn 10. Hartley backs out. Smart move there, but DJ Alessandrini trying to wrest the lead back. He will get it and clear the 33 of Chris Henn. Up the hill, side by side for a second is Henn and Hartley.
And Hartley trying to put pressure on Chris Henn too around the outside. He will go in turns 11 and 12, and even going to try to get side by side with Alessandrini. Here we go. White flag in the air.
One more time around. Road Atlanta. Everyone in a massive pack at the front. Alessandrini stole the lead back in turn 10. Here comes Henn back to the inside.
You're not waiting now. It's all go at this point. There you see Michael Borden's appeared in the picture. He's been aggressive tonight so far and going to be aggressive again.
Hartley on the outside. He's got the lead away in turn 2.
Oh, contact between Henn and Borden, and they're going to make more contact.
The 42 spins at the exit of turn 3. Chris Henn pulls away in third. Drama at the front of the field.
And that separates the 2 leaders, so Hartley and Alessandrini are on their own.
It's going to come down to one of these 2 drivers. Hartley leads the race, Alessandrini in second. Carnage at the top of the hill. Half a lap left to go. DJ's got to set this up perfectly, but he's going to have a huge draft on the back straight, but he's not going to have time to sit there. He's going to have to take it and run.
Yeah, he's also got to make sure he gets out of turn 7 they're coming up to right here. He needs to make sure he gets a nice, good enough run to set up for that pass.
One more straightaway for DJ Alessandrini to put himself another point ahead of Robert Hartley heading into the last race of the season. One more straightaway. Here we go. Look at the run he's getting down the back straight.
Yeah, so Hartley trying to pick a side to really defend. You can't really do much to break up the draft. It's just 1 car in behind him.
Oh, he's coming. Here he comes. It's 2 car lengths. 1.5. 1. Half a car length. Here comes DJ. Swing to the outside heading to turn 10. Final 2 corners setting up for the finish of the first race of the night. DJ on the outside, Hartley on the inside, braking for 10, door to door as they head up the hill.
You see Alessandrini get a much better line through turn
He's got
10B, and he's going to make the pass. Can Hartley do anything through the last 2 turns?
It'll be a drag race back to the finish line. DJ Alessandrini has it at the start-finish line. Hartley to the inside, drag race to the finish, and it's going to be DJ Alessandrini by a nose for race number 1.
56 thousandths of a second.
Holy cow.
Between them. That was a fantastic finish there. That was only
DJ
race
Alessandrini gets race number 1 by 56 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, that makes his job a whole lot easier.
Yes, it does. That'll get him an extra point over Robert Hartley as they head into race number 2.
And Jackson Roblard, our wingman for tonight, he's notified us that that incident between Henn and Borden in turn 3 is under review.
Yeah, of course, that could be big as we head to race number 2 if that 33 car gets a penalty. Before we take a look at the finish, let's go back and take a look at the incident at the top of the hill that set off that whole situation. And if we go, we're going to go back a little bit farther, I believe, to find this. But so I'm not exactly sure who would be at fault for this because I haven't really gotten a good look yet. But heading up the hill, 42. Ooh, he kind of hip checks the 33, and ooh.
Yeah, I think that might just be ruled as a racing incident. We'll take a look.
Yeah, 33 gets hip checked here, and then tries to make the corner, can't, tags the 42. That's going to be a tough one to call.
Yeah, that is because for Henn, the reason why he got put in that situation into 3 was getting hit by Borden. So, and he couldn't really do anything at that point because he was way offline.
So let's go back. We're going to actually just finish out this replay and let's just watch the setup to the end of the race again. Hartley had control of the race heading into the last corner. You know what I saw DJ do, Finian, was go to driver's right into turn 10. We've seen that really be the way to pass. It's kind of counterintuitive because usually you want to be on the left. Driver's inside heading to that last corner. But watch how DJ sets this up. He's going to get this really good run off of turn 7.
I think the big part here is not setting up for the left-hander, but setting up for pretty much the 3, technically, right-handers after turn 10, B, 11, and 12. Yeah, you see him setting up the run here. Hartley defending on side,
Yeah.
and Hartley,
And Hartley has to choose. He has to choose a line.
He has to make a decision here.
And so he's going to leave that outside lane open, and DJ is going to take it. And as they come down to the braking zone, they were dead even through turn 10A and 10B, setting up for the finish. And all clean. I don't even think they leaned on each other at all through this final corner. Just very clean, respectful racing. DJ's fully clear here. And I thought, you know, as he's coming down the hill, you think that he's got it. But now it's not so clear as they come down the hill.
Yeah, and we've seen Borden do this, make an attempt here coming out at 12. You see Hartley get there. He's side by side with Alessandrini's rear wheels. I think he would have liked to be side by side with the front wheels, but unfortunately just a little bit too far behind.
There is your margin. Actually, let's go back a couple more seconds here to catch exactly the margin of victory as they came to the line. But it was really close. 56 thousandths of a second right there. That's what it looks like. Not even a nose of a car. So DJ Alessandrini is your winner. Here's a look at your session results. Of course, this is not the results for the rest of the season. We have one more race left to do tonight to determine your champion.
And even then, too, we still have a potential penalty coming to Chris Henn or Michael Borden, or maybe someone else to through that instant turn thing. We'll have to wait and see. Well, we should get a word on that by the start of race 2.
Yeah, so as they finished, DJ Alessandrini would get 1 point more than Robert Hartley. If you take a look at the points as they were before the race, that would put DJ with 39, and well, actually, it would be more than that, but if we were just adding the 1 point, it'd be basically a 3-point difference between the two instead of a 2-point difference. So still another race coming up here in just a moment, but 56 thousandths of a second between the two leaders. Exceptional racing. We're not done yet, though. We got to go do a second race. We're going to get set up for that one right now. We'll be back with you in just a short moment. Here's a few words from our sponsors.
To most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m., the feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist, born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars, found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that has not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered land? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
The SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge has run all year long from the beginning of the year to the end, but now it's finally time to crown a champion in the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. Welcome back to Winding Road Magazine live for the final race of the season as DJ Alessandrini walks into this race with a 3-point advantage over Robert Hartley. Finian, that means that Robert Hartley's got to beat DJ by at least 3 spots to get a tiebreaker, and even then it still might be DJ that has the spot. So it's going to be a tall task for Hartley, but anything can happen in this final race of the season.
Yeah, the only really important drivers to pay attention to, at least on that graphic, is from P8 onwards, because those are the only guys that have a mathematical shot at winning this championship after race number 1. And you can see even too for Michael Borden, it's really going to be a long shot. He needs absolutely every single possible thing to go wrong for these other drivers, as he needs the maximum amount of points, which is 22, to get him a shot. But for guys like Alessandrini, Hartley, and Henn, it's going to be really close between them.
All right, so as practice concludes here, we're going to have another 15-minute qualifying session to set the grid for race number 2. Qualifying, how important is that going to be tonight for the second race? Do you think it's going to matter at all? I mean, we expect Hartley and DJ to be running first and second, but it doesn't matter what order you qualify in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to matter a little bit, at least being in, I think, around the top 6 or top 7. And I say that because we saw in that last race that the leading group consisted of P6 through P7 towards the end of that. So I think it's going to be important at least being more or less the front half of the field, because you got less traffic to work, and you can also ensure that you don't lose the leading pack. And I think, again, that's going to be the big key to at least winning this race.
So field rolling off for qualifying right now. We want to take a moment to thank our sponsors again. And typically, sponsors give you these readouts to tell you, everything about the company and everything. But, we've done that in the past, and we appreciate their support. But I want to kind of thank them from a more personal level, from just beyond reading the thing, because this year has been an exceptional period of growth for us as SimTV. And Winding Road Racing, Winding Road Magazine, they've been exceptionally kind to us, not only allowing us to have a platform to bring you some incredible racing, but also just being a super cool company to work for. So thank you so much to Winding Road for coming on board sponsoring this series. Thank you to LevelUp Racing School for providing some of the season end prizes. One of the prizes to select is a 2-day LevelUp Racing School situation, and I'm telling everybody I'm super jealous of that. I'd love to get myself in a race car in a racing school and learn the ropes and how to do this stuff. Of course, Paradigm Shift Driver Development, you see at the top right there, came on a little bit later in the season, but I always thought their product was really cool. Basically, it's they take a technological approach to looking at racing and racing analysis, and looking at telemetry in more than just a surface level. It really dives deep. They offer some incredible track maps and track guides on their website. You should certainly check out their link in the description.
Yeah, and I think, and especially too in this modern age of racing, it's no longer, you just go out there on the track and try to be the fastest. You need to use the tools that you have available to across every single series, no matter what it is. Drivers are looking at telemetry, seeing where they're better, seeing where they're worse, and figuring out how to improve. And again, they provide that service exactly for you to improve your driving.
And another company that's come on board and sponsored per race prizes. Actually, each of these races has gift card attachments to it, to Ricmotech. And Ricmotech came on board from the very beginning and said, hey, you know what? We want to be a part of this. And Ricmotech, of course, high-performance sim racing equipment. If you're into iRacing or want to get into iRacing, Ricmotech has got everything you want to need to do that. They got all sorts of simulator parts and pieces, paddle shifters, wheels. Go to their website and you're going to be entranced by all the stuff that they've got. Some phenomenal products. I wish I had a desk full of it myself.
They really have some of the best stuff on the market that you can get, so definitely go check them out, especially for us too.
Absolutely. And of course, the drivers that have been winning and been performing well in the series have gotten gift cards to go spend on their store, and I wish I could compete sometimes. I want one of those gift cards, but as they roll through, qualifying is underway. The draft and qualifying is always important, but setting up for the final race of the season, we've gone to Sebring, we've gone to Road Atlanta, we've gone to Road America, we've gone all over the country. And finally taking a step back and looking at the season as a whole, what are your favorite moments from the season? Because I look back, I thought Watkins Glen was a spectacular race, but some other races over the course of the season, Coda was always fun, Summit Point, VIR especially, that was a track that I really didn't have a great appreciation for, because I just didn't understand it very well. Yeah. And after taking some time in the sim and watching these guys duke it out, it was just a phenomenal racetrack and a cool moment for sure.
Yeah, I think definitely Watkins Glen was really, I think, a nail biter, and I'm not just saying that because it's one of our closest tracks to both of us, but yeah, that was a amazing race that these guys put on, and very close, and even again just really throughout the entire season. Obviously that's the best thing I think about these cars, the fact they put on such close racing that it makes pretty much every single finish entertaining, regardless of who's involved.
I think if I have to pick out another race that was exceptionally entertaining was Mid-Ohio. Not necessarily for the closest of the racing, but because there was a bunch of penalties getting thrown around in that one. That was certainly a race where everyone was letting off some steam.
That's what the stewards
some
were
frustrations.
Really busy. The stewards are really busy that race, handing out penalties, and they're still busy in these races.
Yeah, there's actually a call pending, which we'll let you know about as we get gridded. Still not, haven't been given the go-ahead to inform on the decision there. So we're going to wait on that before we tell you the situation between the 33 and the 42 from race number 1. Peter Enzer has joined us back here in the booth. Welcome back, Peter. Race number 2, there's more on the line. DJ's got a 3-point advantage. If you're Robert Hartley and you're running first and you got DJ right behind you, I mean, is there anything you can do to make DJ get swallowed up by the field behind him? Can you brake check him a little bit? Or is that dirty in the world of racing, or is that just a necessity if you want to have a chance to win the championship? If you don't know Peter,
you definitely.
He is. He's back. Sorry, Peter, to cut you up.
Sorry, yeah, I had a little bit of a problem there. Sorry, I didn't really hear you there very well.
That's all right. I was basically going to ask, if you're Robert Hartley, you've got to gain 3 points on DJ somehow. To what extent are you willing to go to get those extra 3 points? I don't think we'll see Robert wreck anybody. That's not Robert Hartley. But what are some strategies you can do inside the car when you're in a situation where you need to be X amount of spots in front of somebody else?
You kind of try to want to manage the traffic and see if you can kind of maybe back him up to the field a little bit if you're in front of him. See if you can race him hard, let some other people catch up, and try to put some cars between the two of you if you can.
All right, and so I guess backing the field up, we're backing a driver up to the field. We didn't actually get a chance to go over the track guide for this racetrack, Vinny, and I think we should do that right now. Let you know about this racetrack. I know it's a little late now, but here's a look at our track guide for tonight. Of course, turn number 1, a fast right-hand uphill corner leading up into turns 2 and 3 before you head down. The S is fast and sweeping into turn 5. A left-hander up and over the curbs, down a straightaway towards 2 right-handers, turns 6 and 7. 7, one of the most important corners on the racetrack. It'll set you up for the long back straightaway here, and it is a long one. 2 corners, setting yourself up for turn number 10, but using the draft here, it's kind of windy, kind of curvy. You head down to turn 10. This is probably the most important corner on the racetrack, Finian, making a hard left and then a hard right. And we saw DJ with the race-winning move. That right-hand corner is extremely important because, as you'll see in a moment, it leads to 2 more right-handers, turn 11 and turn 12. So your thoughts on the last lap? Did Hartley learn something last time with what DJ did?
Yeah, I think you definitely did. I think you also took a look out at Borden. I think Borden was really the one taking a really good advantage out of turn 11 and setting up fast for 12 and using that momentum down the front straight away. So, and once we saw that, we saw Hartley have an attempt at it. Unfortunately, he was a little bit, I don't think, had the best of runs on that final lap, but I think definitely he's going to save that in his pocket for now. And I think another thing, too, that these guys are might want to consider, too, is that I was looking, remember we were talking about bonus points and how that could be a big thing. The funny thing about that is almost no one scored bonus points in the last race. The only ones that got it was 1 point for Darling, Stevens, and Borden. Everyone else got zilch. So
yeah. So that tells me, my question last time was, are we going to see everyone just go all out and equalize the playing field by getting incident points? And it looks like that mostly is what happened. Because, again, you get a bonus point for completing the race without dropping a wheel, without making contact. So everyone else, other than the 13, and I think, who else did you say got it?
Sorry, the 13, and
Stevens and
Darling and Borden.
Darling and Borden. So those are the 3 drivers that behaved themselves the entire race. Everyone else either dropped a wheel or made some contact. I expect to see more of that tonight. But again, you know, DJ Alessandrini right now, if he finished 3rd or 4th and he gets that bonus point, he could win the championship from 3rd or 4th. But you could get in a situation where you could win the race and not win the championship based on how the bonus points work out. So qualifying still underway. Right now, DJ and Borden leading the way. 56 thousandths of a second, conveniently, the separation between the two. And also, we were reminded in the YouTube chat by Tom Martin that not only are the sponsors been fantastic this year, but we also want to thank a couple people behind the scenes that have done a lot of work to get this where it belongs and up on top of one of the greatest esports championships iRacing has to offer. Dave Fitzgerald, we're going to hear from him later after the championship has been decided, but Dave Fitzgerald has put in countless hours of his own time and effort to set this up and organize this and run this week in and week out. So a huge thanks to Dave Fitzgerald, and as well to John D. Allen, who's actually kind of hanging out here in the booth with John. So John, if you're there, speak up, because we want to thank you for setting up the setups for each and every race, getting these guys configured, and also competing in here and giving some legitimacy to this as a racing series by competing. Of course, you've competed in a real series as well, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, it's been a labor of love. It's been a joy to watch. I've jumped in and run a few races with the guys when I can, but I always watch when I can't. And you know, seeing it come to this fruition is very cool, especially, you know, at this track where we held the Real Championship last year. And in fact, you know, you've been talking to Peter, and you know, we ran that race together when Peter actually clinched the championship last year. And as far as, you know, the experience itself, you know, it's near and dear to me because most of my entire background of racing was limited to sim racing, specifically on iRacing, before jumping into that pro environment. And in the first race of the season, the inaugural season of the series, I was able to set pole. So I absolutely believe that there's guys in this that have the talent to follow suit and do the same thing, and I just can't wait to see who brings it home, and I'd encourage them all to continue to pursue it.
Absolutely. So thank you again, John, for speaking to that. And Finian, setting up for the championship again, here's our pre-race points again as they were after race number 1. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the competitors, because DJ Alessandrini, of course, he's got a big fan club right now in the chat, a member of the Grid Life group that travels all over the country, and he's had a blast this year with his Honda Civic. But we just want to talk a little bit about him. We met him a few months ago. He's been the coolest dude ever, super nice, and a super talented race car driver as well. But again, I talked earlier to his ability to learn and to adapt to new situations, whether it be front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, stick, sequential, whether it's sim or the real world. He's just got something about him that just makes him able to catch on so quick, and he's so willing to learn and you know what? And just to drive, and that he's just a guy that just loves racing, and I don't care what happens to DJ tonight. He's done a spectacular job all season long, not only here but also in Grid Life, so we want to wish him the best of luck. Robert Hartley in the 0-3, second in the points. A man of very few words, Finian, very soft-spoken, but incredibly talented, as we mentioned in race 1. One of the best iRacers in the service, and this is so spectacular to watch him have some real competition, because every time I've seen him in iRacing's official sessions, he's usually 10 seconds ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and I think really that's been the best part. If you were to ask me the best part about the season as a whole, I think is just been watching Hartley and Alessandrini just go at it all season long. And they've been both fairly close. Obviously, a little bit of advantage has gone to Alessandrini with some more wins and better finishes in his favor, but it's still been really close between these two week in, week out as far as who's going to win.
And Chris Henn, the driver of the number 33, he's relatively local, at least a New Yorker like us. So of course, we're in the Binghamton area, and Chris Henn from elsewhere in the state, but he's been exceptionally fun. He was actually performing extremely well in our SimTV All-Star race that we had over the summer, where we had all the leagues that usually compete on our network. We had them all race together in one massive race, and if anyone could link that, that'd be really cool. But it was basically, we had 60 people, 10 from each league that runs on SimTV, all running together, and Chris Henn was one of the drivers. Actually, I think he scored the most points of anybody, or was one of those drivers.
Yeah, I think he's somewhere up there. Exceptionally
talented, and a super nice guy as well. And he's been kind of lurking there all season long. One of the most talented drivers that I've seen as well, especially in an MX-5. Paul Darling, we mentioned him, successful in the Spec Racer Ford Series that the SCCA put on with iRacing earlier this year. He actually won that championship. A little bit out on the outside looking in for this championship here, but certainly a solid competitor, and an SCCA member as well that competes, especially in the the Washington, D.C. region SCCA that runs with us on Wednesday nights, which will be starting next week back on SimTV. So excited to see him there as well. Jesse Stevens, again, missed a lot of the later part of the season. Real world taking priority there, but Jesse, again, has been awful cool. I actually did some practices with him earlier this season, and he's just a joy to hang out with and a joy to run with, and good to see him still inside the top 5 in points, and glad to see him back for the last race of the season.
Yeah, and actually still, although it's not going to matter a whole lot, he still has a chance of getting to Paul Darling. And speaking of which, Paul Darling,
oh, hello. There's a bit of a mess on the exit of turn 5 there. Take a look at that just for... because it was, the 98. And so this is actually an interesting point to bring up here. This is a gnarly wreck. Is turn 5, the exit of turn 5. This is a challenging corner. That tall curve, that gravel trap, you bounce over that, you're going to have a big impact like this on the exit of 5.
And all that takes is really someone just pushing a little bit too far beyond the limit. You see, little bit too much curve for the 98, went into the sand, and then comes back almost right back on the racing line, or pretty much really close to it. So we can see that in race number 2 with some guys getting really desperate here, because this is the last shot that anyone has, any of those top 8 that we saw in the points, has a shot at winning this.
So here's your current pole lineup right now. Alessandrini by over a 1/10.5 of a second over Michael Borden in second. Hartley in third. Chris Henn in fourth. Thomas Bressi, how about this driver? Again, not in contention for the championship, but runs other series on SimTV on our home YouTube channel. And he actually was co-commentating with us last night. And he's a joy of a human being to be around, of course, like a lot of drivers are. But he's steadily improved. He's had a lot of bad luck this season, probably more than anybody else, but looking pretty good. 5th place in qualifying. Strong run here.
Yeah, we'll see what he can improve here, as qualifying should be wrapping up shortly. As these guys coming to the line, they should be able to get one more time around it.
So lap times around the 37 mark, and interesting, we think back to our Grid Life experience a few months ago, pretty much exactly the times that they were running in Grid Life. Yeah. Completely different race cars, completely different philosophies, but still similar times. So anyway, up the hill, and that's going to be an off track for Bressi, so we'll not be able to improve the lap time that time through. As he comes down the hill, 24 seconds left, and I don't know if anybody else will have an opportunity to beat DJ's time, but again, points walking into this last race, setting up Alessandrini. If he finishes ahead of Hartley, he'll be good.
Yeah, and that's even taking the bonus points into account. If he finishes in front of him at this point, there's not even going to be a tie. There's going to be no words exchanged. It's going to definitely be Alessandrini. We will, though, however, regardless of what happens, we will take some time at the end of the race to
confirm.
To confirm it, as Dave Fitzgerald, he'll be cracking down on the points and doing the final calculations to make sure we're absolutely certain of who wins. So we'll give an unofficial, I guess, guess to who potentially won, but we'll wait for...
I'm afraid to say anything till I know for sure. That's all I'm going to say. Meanwhile, we got about 2 minutes left as these drivers conclude their qualifying laps. Peter, I wanted to ask you some more things about, off the topic of the SPEC MX-5 Challenge. I want to talk to you about your Global MX-5 season this year. The most memorable moment from the 2019 season in Global MX-5, and what are your hopes for next season, and what are the plans for you in that car?
Well, that was probably when I had the race in 8th and won the hard charger award. That was a real cool moment, and it was a bit of a challenging year overall, but it was fun. I enjoyed it, and we'll see what next year brings.
In terms of what the simulator can bring, and in terms of what you've learned this season, have you learned anything that you could apply back the other direction? I think I asked Tom Martin this question earlier. Is there anything that you can learn from the real world that will make you better in the sim, or is it just generally a one-way road?
There's definitely a lot you can learn.
Had a little trouble with the connection there, but with Peter Enzer, so apologize for that. But I guess we'll cover that a little bit later. 40 seconds left in qualifying, Finney, and DJ with a 1/10 of a second advantage over Borden. That's going to be your pole sitter for tonight. Will be DJ Alessandrini for race number 2. So your thoughts, your expectations, your predictions for this race?
I think it's going to be a lot more hectic than I think that we saw beforehand. We saw guys, I guess you can call it restraining themselves a bit. I wouldn't say desperate moves, but some big moves by some guys to get themselves into position here. And you gotta imagine that guys are gonna get even a little bit more hectic here, especially guys like Chris Henn. They got a large hurdle to overcome. They're 6 points behind, so he's gonna need Alessandrini and Hartley to run into quite a few issues, and also try to nab some bonus points here and there.
Time to grid for the last race of the season, and before we get this underway, we want to wish our friend Tom O'Gorman a happy birthday. His birthday was yesterday, and I never got a chance to say happy birthday, so I'm going to say it. Happy belated birthday to Tom O'Gorman, competitor in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Finished, I believe, 3rd in the championship this year in his number 37 Honda TCR automobile, and met him earlier at Grid Life in Midwest, and an exceptional guy as well. So thank you to Tom for all the experiences he gave me this season, and happy birthday, buddy. We know you're hanging out watching your friend DJ, so cool to have him here with us tonight, as well as many others from the Grid Life posse that are supporting DJ. He's had his own little fan club hanging out, which is always cool to see. Support is big.
It really is, and especially when you're on the cusp of something so big here. which again, a lot of it is in favor. But again, we still have this one race to determine it, and it's not over yet.
Again, the last race of the season to determine the winner of the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. For most of these drivers, all they were before was a sim racing competitor, have never laid hands on a race car. One of them will get an opportunity to test a real SPEC MX-5 race car, get a track day with full team support, or a LevelUp Racing School 2-day experience with them down in Circuit of the Americas. So extremely excited to present that at the end of the night.
And actually, since we're on the grid, I think now we're in the clear to state the information we were withholding earlier.
Yes.
And that is the fact that from that incident in turn number 3, the 33 of Christopher Henn will be getting a penalty to him, and we'll have to get an EOL, and we'll be starting from the back of the grid in this race.
Yeah, so the 33 of Chris Henn getting an avoidable contact penalty, and we were also told that the penalties for the second race, they're going to be careful handing them out, because what we don't want to do is leave anything in question. You don't want to make a call that's going to make everyone go, okay, well, now what do I do? Tonight, this last race, it's going to be either a no-action call or an immediate penalty. No in between. It's time to get down to racing, and no funny business. I think what the drivers have been told is race fair and square for this. Don't make this a mess.
Yeah, and again, it's very easy to. Again, we're dangling almost $4,000 worth of prizes in front of people's faces, and you got to imagine at some point someone's going to get a little bit too desperate and make some moves that they otherwise probably wouldn't make. And again, it's just the job of the stewards to make sure everyone's clean. So unfortunately, Henn will get sent to the back, but you know, it's not the end of the world. Again, with a reduced grid, I think we're only going to have 14 guys take the. Yeah, we have 14 guys lined up for the start. So should be able to recover from that. It's going to be a little bit of ways, though, and you see him dropping to the back now.
So this race a little bit longer than the first race, and that means that I think there's the tendency to be too careful, maybe. But if you're Chris Henn, your job now is you're going to have an EOL. You're going to be starting at the tail of the field. I think this isn't a huge deal for him. We talked about qualifying. You said it was kind of important. I agree. I think it's important, but in the second race, it's less important than the first race. I think he's going to get up to the top 5. What he's got to hope for is that the field doesn't split in half before he gets there. He wants to be able to pass everybody before those groups start to form their distinct lines.
And that's really the big problem that I was referring to. But other than that, if he can at least get through there in a decent amount of time, at least to the front and back, before they kind of start to break away, as we saw in the last race, I think he should be in the clear, but again, that's if he can make it there in time.
The grid is going to be scrolling on the left-hand side of your screen right underneath that header. Road Atlanta, of course, this racetrack is a spectacular course, a 2.5-mile course. 12 corners. It's got huge elevation change. It's got fast, long straightaways, some high downforce stuff that really doesn't matter a whole lot in these cars, because you're taking it pretty much flat out anyway. But this is an exceptional racetrack, an exceptional place to hold the season finale, as they did last year for the SPEC MX-5 Challenge in the real world. So your final predictions, though, as to who's actually going to walk away with this? I mean, it's hard to bet against DJ Alessandrini.
Especially, too, he's actually got a little bit of leeway, not a whole lot. He's got Hartley right in behind him, as opposed to being right alongside him in the last race.
Again, the point standings, 3 points separate Alessandrini from Hartley. But if it swaps, if Hartley gets ahead of Alessandrini and DJ falls victim to the pack, things could change very, very quickly. And if Alessandrini crashes or spins, it's anybody's race beyond that. Hartley, of course, would probably be the favorite after that would happen. But to my prediction, DJ Alessandrini wins this race and wins this championship. I think it's hard to bet against that. But we'll see how it all pans out here in just a moment.
Yep, it's racing, and as we know from real-life experience, almost anything could happen.
Time to go racing. The last time in 2019, the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge, brought to you by Ricmotech, Paradigm Shift, LevelUp Racing School, and Winding Road. Finally, time to crown a champion. Here we go. Green flag flies, racing at Road Atlanta, and it's time to go. 30 minutes on the board.
That was an interesting start there from Michael Borden, going to the middle of the field. He was trying to, I guess, defend from Hartley, who will immediately jump into second place here by turn 1.
Yeah, Robert Hartley has to go. He's got to drive ahead of DJ and maybe force DJ into a mistake. I don't think that Hartley's going to be able to just pass DJ and hope for something to happen. He's going to have to force DJ to maybe run off the course, but making DJ make a mistake is pretty tricky. Look at Paul Darling on the inside of Thomas Bresci in turn 3. Jump the curb there at the top of the hill.
A little bit slow going down to turn 5, so a little bit of a break up there as the top 4 is starting to break away from the rest of the pack, similar to what we saw in race number 1. There you see Jesse Stevens in the 13 will be sitting right there in 4th.
Jesse Stevens, again, Finally able to compete again after having the real world take some priority. Running in fourth right now. DJ already snaking up the road, trying to break that draft. If he can break the draft, it's game over. Give him the trophy now, but I don't think that's going to happen. Robert Hartley's so talented and is good at setting up these corner exits.
Yeah, these two guys are too equal on pace to say that. I think even if Alessandrini were to break away from the draft, I think Hartley has enough talent to wheel him back in. So a little bit of a gap and a little bit of breathing room for the 91 for now, but I don't think he's going to have that in lapse time. But you see in the back.
Yeah, this is not what Chris Henn wanted to see. Is already a big separation between Mitchell Peak and Nathan Saxon in 7th, but Chris Henn has worked his way past 4 or 5 cars already and moved his way up into 7th, or actually make that 8th, but he's got a long way to go to catch Saxon, Darling, and more.
And this is my fear for him, that this exact thing would happen. But we did see in the last race too, Nathan Saxon, who's actually right ahead of him, drove back up to the lead pack by himself from the second pack that was trailing. So definitely within the realm of possibility to see Michael Borden up the inside of Hartley, make a clean pass into turn 12, and will pass and clear the 0-3.
Yeah, imagine if Borden was in this championship hunt. He would have been a serious contender. Yeah. Unfortunately, a little bit too far back to really be in the running. But he's been extremely good at Road Atlanta, and you know there's a chance that he could win this race as well. But Hartley slips to 3rd. Alessandrini holds the lead. And again, it's a chess match at over 100 miles an hour. Everyone's making moves, and you have to decide which one is the best at each time to not get beat by the other person. And right now, Alessandrini has been perfect tonight. He has not made a single mistake. And I think he's setting himself up for a championship here shortly. Michael Borden riding in 2nd, Hartley 3rd. Let's jump back to Paul Darling. We mentioned him earlier, the SCCA Spec Racer Ford champion in iRacing earlier this season. Then Saxon right behind him. All the way back 2 seconds back is Chris Henn.
And Fred, it's really now just about getting his head down and then just setting really good laps. He's already starting to make some inroads in, so I'm not too concerned for him getting back up the lead pack. He's already starting to break away from the guys that were in front of him.
So we're just keeping an eye on lap times though. Last time through, his lap time was a 140.504 to Alessandrini's 138.750. So we'll keep an eye on these times as they go through, but it's going to be tough. I mean, DJ and Michael and Robert, they're all going to be nose to tail drafting off of each other, and Chris Henn's still got a little ways to go before he can use the draft.
And you see everyone going single file. I think we're going to see be a little bit calm at the beginning of this race.
Whoa, car way off the course. Is that the 21?
12.
No, the 12 of Brian Shabelski. No, it wasn't the 12. It was... Who was that? I'm pretty sure it was the 21. No, who won that car? Luke Pfeiffer in the 06. That's who it was. Went sailing off course in turn 10. And not exactly sure why that happened, but... coming down the hill...
missed his braking point.
That was... he missed it by a lot, if that was the case. Riding on board. Here we go. The shifts were messy there for sure, and just ran off into the gravel trap. Things over for the night for the 06, unfortunately. For Pfeiffer, that'll be the end of his night. DJ Alessandrini still leads the way down the hill, but Nathan Saxon tagged on to the end of this group, struggling to keep up with the front 6 right now.
Yeah, he's a little danger of falling in behind, but still keeping decent pace with 55 in front of him, so still getting a little bit of toe.
Wow, okay, last time through, Nathan Saxon was the second quickest, or one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. Chris Henn was faster than the leader last time through. So you mentioned it, Finian. He had the chance. Oh, a big mistake there out of turn 7. And that was probably an off track as well, so that means he won't get that bonus point, which could be crucial here. But again, DJ is still clean and green up front. He has not made a single mistake yet in this race, at least.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key for him to do is you Hartley pull out of line to try to make a pass on board and down into turn 10. We've seen these guys go at it a few times in this particular corner in the last race.
Yeah, Hartley on the brakes down to the inside of turn 10 will complete the pass. Made that look super easy. And now going to close in on his biggest competitor, the 91 of DJ Alessandrini. Hartley down the hill. And again, he can't just beat DJ by 1 point. It's got to be by a lot more. Yeah. Here's the live points as they come in, or as they run right now. You see DJ with 20 points to Hartley's 19. You add that to the points they had walking into the night, and it shows that DJ will still end up winning this as it is.
And the thing is, too, if Hartley finishes ahead of Alessandrini and has a completely clean race and Alessandrini doesn't get any bonus points, they would tie. And we believe, I'm pretty sure that Alessandrini should be able to break that tie.
Yeah, that would... As long as he finishes second, he should be fine. Actually, so the tiebreakers, here's how the tiebreaker works. The tiebreaker is first done by the number of wins that you have. And then it's done by the number of seconds and the number of thirds. Well, DJ has more wins than Robert Hartley does, I believe. Yes. But they both have the same number of seconds. And actually, I think now DJ by default wins the tiebreaker because he won race 1, so that puts him 3 wins ahead of Robert Hartley, which means that Hartley can't overcome that tiebreaker even if he were to win this race now. So DJ Alessandrini on a tiebreaker would win. So Saxon has grouped back up behind Darling. Darling's given Bresci a big shove down the back straight, planning on trying to make an overtake here, maybe?
Could be. I don't think he would. No, I guess I'm wrong. He's going to try to make a pass on Alessandrini on Bresci in the 24, but you see Bresci getting that toe from the guys ahead, and Paul Darling can't make that pass.
Peter, Road Atlanta is a great racetrack in a lot of different ways as we got a battle for the lead here, but where's the best place to gain time on a track like this? I would probably have said before turn number 3, but is there any place other than that might be a good place to gain a lot of time if you're Chris Henn or Robert Hartley?
Yeah, you can really gain some time in the more technical sections, like turn 3, really try to get good runs out of turn 3 and turn 5. And attack the braking zones. You can really make up some time at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, so turn 3 I think is the key, but also the curbing as it's configured in iRacing, sometimes it baits you in. You see there's a lot of dirt there, Finney. If that center line of your car crosses over the edge of the curb on the outside edge, that is a 1x off track, which would mean that you don't get those bonus points for having a clean race. So you want to be aggressive over that curb, and as well through turn 5, you see him taking every single inch of the curbing, but you don't want to go over it, because then you'll get yourself a penalty, or not get the bonus, rather.
Yeah, that's, I think, going to be the big thing for him, because again, unless Bresci makes a massive mistake or something happens to him, he will most likely end up finishing 2nd, 3rd at the worst, and that's not enough for Hartley to get by him in the points.
Confused Bresci and Alessandrini twice now. I got a rolling count. I don't know if you just realized that. It's all good. Alessandrini's a tongue twister to say anyway.
I've done it before. There's not the first. I don't know. Probably not in this series, but I've like gotten them mixed. I don't know why.
That's a weird.
I think because both their names end in I. I think that's why.
Okay, that could be.
I have no clue.
You're also sitting on the right side of the table, which means that you're looking at the last half of the name first. Probably you're reading it backwards. It's like Korean or something. As they head up the hill here, 21 minutes to go, and Alessandrini's got the top spot, but Robert Hartley's right here, and Borden taking a look to the inside as they come down the hill.
This is probably his favorite corner of the track. I'm convinced that it is, as he makes a look to the inside of Hartley.
He's there.
Oh, boy.
Whoa, almost a door slam there as they come across the start-finish line.
Almost dooring each other there, but he's going to have a run. Hartley's going to probably have to back out just a little bit. Here comes Borden going for the lead.
Wow, Michael Borden, a power move through turn 12 down the hill using that momentum, and Jesse Stevens now is going to get by Hartley. Hartley dropping down the order as they climb the hill, a struggle of a set of corners for the 0-3.
Yeah, we saw it get a little bit squirrely there. We saw last time something similar like that happened. There's some contact and someone going to the wall, but they make it through this time by.
Yeah, Jesse Stevens now slides back into 4th. That'll let Hartley retake 3rd spot, but to me, that's been the weak point is through turn 12.
Yeah, I'm looking at Chris Henn's last lap, 139.4. He had a really bad last lap.
Struggle. That was almost 2 seconds off the pace, and might have had to slow down to serve, but up the road you see Paul Darling and Nathan Saxon going for 6th.
So Saxon's going to be back at the tail end of the line, at least for now. I'm curious if he's just waiting for the end of this, waiting for a moment to strike, just waiting out the next 15 or so minutes.
Yeah, this is just a waiting game. I mean, I think Peter said it earlier, is that you're going to be patient. You're going to wait and wait for the opportunity to arise. And for Hartley, I don't think that opportunity has arisen yet. But for Alessandrini, he's doing everything he needs to do leading this race. But do you want to be leading on the last lap? We saw for Hartley, it didn't work out.
Yeah, I really don't think you do. It's similar almost in effect to an NASCAR plate race like Daytona or Talladega, where you don't want to really be the leader because you're sitting duck. There's not much you can do with the guys behind you, but the guys behind you can build up a run. Speaking of which, here comes Borden.
Yeah, Borden through this final sector has been phenomenal tonight. Runs down the hill, just clips the curb on the right. He's going to have a run for the lead, and I think he might take it. And Alessandrini's going to go defensive. Oh, the 42 tries to squeeze in that hole in the outside lane. Almost didn't fit, but DJ just give him enough room.
I was going to say, that was the thing there. Alessandrini, I think Borden was expecting more room, but Alessandrini was saying, nope, I'm going to give you
he gave him a car length.
Yeah,
or car
I'm going to
rather.
give you exactly as much as you need, which is exactly 1 car length to the grass. So. Yeah. Alessandrini being aggressive here, and he has to.
Well, situational awareness is extraordinarily important, knowing your surroundings. Peter, how important is that in spec racing to know where the corners of your car are, and how much do you have to trust yourself to know that when you get in a close racing situation?
Oh, absolutely. That's very important to be successful. You just have to have the confidence in knowing your surroundings and that situational awareness. to know exactly where you are and where everybody else is to make moves effectively.
And I think that goes in all different levels of racing, whether it be IMSA or NASCAR or SPEC MX-5 Challenge. Knowing where the corners of your car are, knowing the capabilities of your car, so you don't sail into a corner and not have enough grip to make it. I think we've seen that happen a lot in a lot of different series. But I think for Alessandrini, he's got the talent. He knows where to place the car exactly to the inch, and he will not get it wrong. Gordon still just hounding the 91 through that final sector. Here he comes again.
He's not giving that 91 any breathing room. He's going for it every chance that he can get and trying to make a pass into turn 10. But as you see him setting up for turn 11, I don't think he's a little bit too far behind this time.
One other thing we have to keep in mind is Borden's forcing DJ to run offline. And every time DJ has to run offline, he's got to drive the car differently. You can't get that. You can't do that muscle memory you've been doing the whole race. So it's forcing DJ to do things he doesn't want to do. Maybe force him into a mistake and send him off course. Look at this dive on the brakes in turn 1. DJ doesn't fall for it though. Turns right down to the apex, makes the corner, and actually pulls a gap on exit. Up to the top of the hill now. Just over 18 minutes to go. Closing it on halfway. 8 laps into this 19-lap event, and down through turns 3, 4, and 5.
You see the top 7 of the field going on by, and there you see Chris Henn in the background. I don't think he's going to be able to catch the field.
Yeah, that penalty was going to really cost him a shot. It would have been a tall order regardless, but having to start at the tail of the field and had to pass all those cars, it required almost a Herculean effort, and it's not going to happen unless something dramatic happens up front.
That being said, he was faster than the leader by about half a second.
Yeah, but he's still 4.7 back. There's a lot of racing left, but I just don't see that happening. We'll keep an eye on him, though, as the race goes on. DJ still leads Borden second, Hartley third, Stevens fourth, Bresci fifth. Everyone just being very calm, and other than the 42, really, everyone's just kind of sitting in line and being patient. We still have 17 and a half minutes to go. So
Jesse Stevens giving a bump draft to Robert Hartley down the straightaway.
Yeah, and Hartley, again, I'm not sure. This is uncharacteristic of Hartley to me. He seems like he's sitting and just content where he is.
A little bit of a punt there from Jesse Stevens.
They're going to climb the hill towards turn 11. But again, I think Robert is fine here. I think he knows that if DJ's going to make a mistake, it's going to be DJ's issue. I don't think he can force him into it.
I think what he might be also hoping, too, considering how aggressive Michael Borden's been, I think he might be hoping that maybe those two collide.
Yeah, and then that would just go on by. It's a distinct possibility.
Letting the 42, or even just, I don't really think tires are going to be that big of a deal, but just making, Alessandrini use of his stuff. The entire race keeping him on his toes, and Hartley just kind of sit in third and just wait for a moment to strike.
Down the hill they go. Borden, again, you're right about the aggression, though, and part of this is his desire to win a race. I mean, he's been so close on speed this year and hasn't been able to get to victory lane. Probably deserved to be there more than once with the speed he had, and just ended up having things not go his way. So he's hungry, and I don't think he's willing to just sit back and let these guys duke it out for the championship. He's here to race, and he's not here to let anybody have an easy day.
Yeah, I was going to say, and even though he technically had a shot at it, due to the amount of guys that started, he doesn't have a shot at winning the championship at this point, unfortunately. But again, I think if anything, that's just going to make him more eager to win because he has nothing to lose now.
So talking about the draft on the back straightaway here at Finian, the level of draft, I guess this is probably a better question for John V. Allen. John, how effective is the draft in these cars? I know the ND is a lot different, but how far back is it effective in the NC Miata within the iRacing service?
It stretches out to every bit of the tail end of 2 seconds. Chris right now you see just painstakingly close. It's just out of reach as he's about 3 seconds back, but I really believe these guys will start mixing it up in the closing laps, and if he keeps his head down and charges hard, he may still have a shot at getting up there somewhere.
Well, mixing it up they are. Look at the 42 of Borden down the inside in turn 10, but he slipped back to 4th. So that pass for the lead actually ended up netting him 2 lost spots, and Hartley up into 2nd. Stevens to 3rd now. And here comes Bresci into the mix inside the top 5.
Yeah, he saw an opportunity. Might have had some contact with Borden just now. Some left side damage to that 24 machine.
A little bit of damage, and we'll see if that affects how the handle. Oh, he gets turned off the nose of the 41 of Saxon, and around goes the 24 at the top of the hill.
Whoa!
And there goes Chris Henn right on by, could not afford to lift. And Thomas Bresci with the bad luck continuing. I think he just got kind of rooted up out of the groove here, Vinny. What's your take on this?
Let's see here. He's side by side with Saxon, going into the braking zone.
Could have turned in. He kind of did turn in on him there, Finny, and so kind of a self-inflicted issue here. Again, corner right's a whole separate issue, but I'm not going to get into that. But we'll see if there's any action taken on that specific issue.
That's what I was saying earlier. That's such a tough corner to be side by side because racing line's pretty much right on that curb. It's not on the asphalt, it's on that curb. And unfortunately, both of them ended up running out of room. And that incident between them is under review from race control, so we'll get a word on that shortly.
So under review, the incident between the 24 of Thomas Bressi and the 41 of Nathan Saxon. Meanwhile, for the lead, here comes Robert Hartley to the outside now, heading down towards turn 10, side by side into that corner, and Hartley might be able to clear the 91, and he will into turn 10A.
I'm actually kind of surprised by this, by Hartley, so he'll take the lead, but I'm surprised because he's now going to be a sitting duck, and I thought he was trying to avoid this, but it looks like he's going to try to at least stay in the lead for now. Alessandrini's going to settle on the second, then it's Stevens, Borden, your top four, and they've broken away from the rest of the pack after what just happened as Saxon, Darling, and now Chris Henn too, they've kind of lost it.
Borden poked out a line there for a moment, riding right behind Jesse Stevens, but the championship contenders, here's a look, the live points. Hartley again with 20 over DJ's 19. As they walked in, it was a 3-point separation, so now it's only a 2-point separation with the 0-3 in the lead. That means DJ's got to fall to 4th for that tie to happen, and even then, DJ would still get the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and then it comes down to the bonus points, but I actually just saw Hartley go a little bit off the track. He might have gotten 1x just there through the S's.
So DJ needs to finish 4th or better no matter what happens to clinch this championship. That's a tall order, I mean, especially because the 13 and 42 are not just willing to sit back here, and there's 2 more cars, the 41 Nathan Saxon and the 55 of Paul Darling. If they get back up into this group and the 91 gets shuffled out, it could quickly turn from an easy championship drive to desperately begging for one last spot.
Yeah, and actually, even too, looking not that far behind.
Oh, yeah.
7th, you know, we counted him out a little bit earlier, but I think with all the chaos, he's definitely taking advantage of that and starting to catch back up.
And John DeAllen just also mentioned the draft extends to almost 2 seconds back. He's 1.7 away from Paul Darling, and as they've been fighting and all that drama happened up in that front group, it's reeled in the 33, so he's not totally out of it yet. 1st and 2nd nose to tail, as are 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th. Now DJ right now in this cockpit is all about strategy, strategization. What are you doing inside this cockpit right now, Finian? You're playing a chess match, you're driving a race car, and you're checking your surroundings every couple seconds to make sure you're not going to sail off into the fence. There's a lot going on, and these races might not be long, they might not be physically challenging, but they're certainly challenging your brain. As here comes DJ back to the inside for turn 1, side by side again for the lead and for the championship.
Even in the background too, Borden was making a pass on Stevens. Stevens had to look up the middle there, and Alessandrini trying to clear, almost making contact there. That was close.
Hartley hangs on to the lead. DJ stays in 2nd, but Stevens pushing the issue for that P2 spot. Nothing is guaranteed with just 11 minutes remaining. Lap 12 of about 19 complete, and now DJ's got the 13 all over his rear bumper into turn 5.
He almost got turned by him. That could have been disastrous at the top of the S's there in turn 3, but they're going to be in a relatively okay shape, although they've lost a little bit of time to Hartley, and he's been starting to get out just a little bit of a lead.
Chris Henn only 1.3 back from this front group now as DJ's lost 7/10 on the opening part of this lap. Settling in, maybe to get a big push from the 13 on the back straight now. No mistakes can be afforded in this last 10 minutes or so. You can't make one mistake. That will end your championship hopes right here. And DJ needs to set himself up for about 8 or 9 perfect laps.
Back on the incident with the 25 and the 41, no action will be taken on that incident.
So no action for the 24 and 41 accident. And Hartley tried to pull away, but here comes Jesse Stevens down the inside in turn 10 for 2nd place. Stevens gets it. The battle for the championship is 1 point as it stands here, Finian. And here comes Borden to the inside.
It's going to get really interesting here. And Borden through the grass will try to make a pass through turn 11. And here he comes through turn 12, his bread and butter.
And right across the line, as it stands, the championship would be tied right now with the tiebreaker going to the 91 of DJ Alessandrini. DJ cannot afford to lose one more spot or the championship will be Hartley's.
I was going to say, and he's got Nathan Saxon and Paul Darling and Chris Henn. You can see that green card really coming to picture now.
Yeah, he is approached and is coming, and especially if the 33 gets here, you won't need the 41 or 55 to pass the 91. It could be Chris Henn.
Yeah, and I imagine Hen's going to be holding nothing back. He's just going to be charging to the front no matter what.
9 minutes and 45 seconds left in the final race of the season for the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge. Hartley leads. DJ Alessandrini sits 4th. They are tied in the point standings right now.
And I'm sure, I wouldn't say sure, but I think Hartley would like the race to have ended now. Of course, last race was 20 minutes, so it would have ended on this lap, but we have an extra 10 minutes to go, and I think that's going to make this really interesting as Alessandrini goes off on the grass.
And that might mean that that extra bonus point for staying on course will not be awarded. And that's the other thing to consider is the tiebreaker might not even come down to the number of wins. It might come down to the bonus for a clean race. And I don't think Robert Hartley has been off course yet tonight in this race.
I might have seen once, but even then, too, you get a 3-point allowance to still get those 2 points, and then up to 7 for at least 1.
Ooh, Borden to the inside of Stevens in turn 10. Oh, that was tight through there. And DJ just waiting in the wings to make a run.
He's just waiting because, again, there's nothing much he can really do other than just wait for the opportunity to present himself. He can't force it because obviously he doesn't want to wreck the guys ahead of him, otherwise he can get a penalty.
And all the while, Hartley trying to break away. Half a second gap back from first to second. For second place, they were side by side. Look at how close they were on the brakes into turn 1. Up the hill. Look at the run that 91 gets as he climbs the hill.
Can he go anywhere with it, though?
That's tight. It's too tight. I don't think it's worth the risk. He missed that apex big time through 3 and lost a bunch of ground here, but the draft should pull him right back in.
That's a big thing too as a race car driver, risk versus reward, especially when it comes down to penalties and bonuses.
And look who's here. Chris Henn has joined the party. It took him 14 laps, but he is now finally in 7th place and tacked onto the tail end of this group. If he goes up there and passes DJ Alessandrini, the championship would go to Robert Hartley. That's how close things are at the front of the field right now.
And Hartley's just been enjoying this. The chaos that's been going on behind him. He can easily just relax, at least for the moment, and enjoy the lead, although now he's got Jesse Stevens starting to catch back up to him.
We're 7 minutes away from letting one of these drivers have the opportunity to kickstart their real-world racing career after an entire year of battling with the drivers in this series. They sit just 7 minutes and 30 seconds away from a chance to start their career, Finian. And Robert Hartley right now, that's all he can think about. But you got to be perfect. You can't let anything get in your head. You got to focus right now, and he's got Stevens all over his rear bumper.
And also apparently getting word that there was an incident between the 67 and the 12, and the 12 ended up getting a drive-through for that incident.
All right, so the 12 of Brian Chabelsky.
There's something big between them.
Oh, yes. So the 12 of Brian Chabelsky getting a drive-through penalty for that incident. We're not going to go back and look at it because we're busy watching the battle up at the front. 7 minutes left as they cross the line. 5 laps to go for second place. Stevens and Borden still fighting in the dusk light here as they head up the hill towards turn 2 and 3.
Oh, and they almost make contact. They're getting really close to each other in turn 1. And there you see Alessandrini caught back up to them by the time they get to turn 3. And still hasn't made a move from 7th place, so he's got 5 laps to go to try to get himself to the front of this field.
The sun is setting on the season and the race tonight here at Road Atlanta. The Georgia sun setting below the horizon. 5 laps to go to determine the winner of the series. And Robert Hartley has it by 0.6 of a second. Chris Henn trying to get up there to deny the 91. It's going to be a tough fight to the end, but we're closing in. Here comes DJ back to the inside of the 42 into turn 6.
Yeah, here he comes deep on the brakes. Borden going to pinch him to the apex. They're almost making contact, and it's going to keep that 91 at bay.
He left him a car's width and an inch. And bouncing over the curb is the 42 sideways out of turn 7. And a drag race down the back straight.
Yeah, that made these guys lose quite a bit of time. There you see Borden, a big block on Nathan Saxon there.
Big shove back to get in line right in front of Nathan Saxon. Borden held the 91 tight, but DJ was able to get back by, and with that pass, DJ will be leading the points once again by 1 point over Robert Hartley, pending the penalty points or the clean race bonus. Here's Chris Henn on Paul Darling, waiting to make a look to the inside. He's just being very patient right now, but when does he have to go? I'd say soon.
I was going to say, I think he's being a little bit too patient, although I'm curious unless he's got a plan for this. But is still waiting in the wings in 7th place. We definitely know that he's got the pace to get to the front, but the man in the front at the moment is Robert Hartley. And there you see the lead he has over 2nd and 3rd.
4 laps to go for Robert Hartley. He's got DJ Alessandrini, his championship contender friend, right behind him in 3rd. But DJ needs to finish 4th or worse to even stand a chance at losing this championship. So as it stands, DJ's still in the best position of anybody.
Yeah, that could change, though. Oh, Alessandrini a little bit sideways through 3 there.
Yeah, big slide, and you know, you gotta wonder how much he's probably trying to do these calculations in his head to figure out exactly where he needs to finish. But you know, how distracting is that inside the car to be trying to do math and drive a race car?
Yeah, it really is not a good combination. You can probably try to do it on the straightaways, but definitely don't want to be doing it through the turns. You're gonna lose concentration like that. So he goes through here. But yeah, as far as we know, he should be good. But again, that's not including the bonus points, which we have absolutely no clue about at the moment.
Yeah, again, iRacing doesn't allow spectators of the race to have information about the incidents until after the race. So basically, the client side, which is my side, can't know if they've triggered an off-track or had contact that is strong enough to get them those incident points. So we will not know until the race is completed as to who has that clean race bonus. We will not determine the champion unless we are sure of who won it or until we get confirmation on who wins it, just so that we don't say the wrong thing. For the top spot, though, Hartley still has it, but Jesse Stevens popped out of line, and third place is where we have a bit of a gap back to fourth place Borden. 3 laps to go. Hartley leading. He needs one more point. As far as we know, one more point to guarantee him at least a shot at a tiebreaker to win the championship.
Yeah, that top 3 breaking away. Borden leading that second pack.
Headlights are on.
Headlights are on. Nice.
The lights are on. The sun is down. It's time to finish off the SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge season. They climb the hill. They're only going to do it 3 more times up through turns 2 and 3. Visibility diminishing. Heart rates increasing, running out of time. Don't make a mistake. Don't put a wheel off. Chris Henn, still stuck in 7th, hasn't been able to make it by Paul Darling or accompaniment.
Whoa.
Way wide out of turn 5.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's what you're saying, you know, not making a mistake. And we haven't seen really most people make a mistake out of turn 5, but that was a big one there.
And as they stand, Robert Hartley has 20 earned points in this race. DJ with 18. They had a 3-point difference coming into this race. That gives a 1-point advantage to the number 91 of DJ Alessandrini. Again, we do not know what the situation is with the penalty points, but if DJ has a penalty point and Hartley does not, that would, again, even as they are, have them be tied, but DJ still wins that tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing as far as where does the bonus go. And I would hope that for Hartley, he's made sure that he's kept this as clean as possible to give himself the best advantage for that. And again, Alessandrini, he doesn't know how many off-tracks Hartley has. So for him, the best thing for him to do would just be finish in second, because at that point,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So that's what I think he's going to be eyeing for, at least getting into second place.
2 laps to go at Road Atlanta. For the lead, Jesse Stevens swings wide on the last corner, heading down towards turn 1. Can he steal a victory away from championship contender Hartley?
Couldn't quite do it just yet. He's going to set it up through turn 3 here, and this is not what
Hartley
Hartley needs.
No, Hartley does not need this. Through turn 3 now. Chris Henn has gotten by Paul Darling. He's in 6th place now. If he gets a good run and some luck, he could get up there and battle with the 91.
And it looks like Borden's starting to catch back up to them, so he might get there by the white flag. He's going to have to put in a really good lap.
As soon as you start to battle, it slows that group of cars down. So if these 3 start to get side by side, it'll drag in the 42, 41, and 33. 2 laps to go. Now make it 1.5. In the background, you see the 33, that teal car poking his nose out of line. I don't think he can get there without a little bit of help, but Jesse Stevens keeps DJ Alessandrini at bay. It's going to be a 1-point difference between these 2 drivers, all pending that bonus point for clean driving.
And you see Hartley starting to snake a little bit. Jesse Stevens falling on through Alessandrini, not wasting his time trying to follow them.
Chris Henn has worked his way into 5th. Saxon made a mistake, I believe, out of turn 7. Down the back straightaway. We'll do this straightaway one more time. Borden trying to close in. He's 8/10 back from DJ Alessandrini. He's going to use the draft. This is his best sector. If he closes in and passes this 91, we're going to have no idea what the situation is.
Yeah, he's a little bit far back. Was actually losing a little bit of time.
Stevens for the lead.
Stevens through the lead. Trying to get it from Hartley here as they come over the hill. Here we go. White flag, last lap
here
of
comes
the season.
Alessandrini down to the inside as well to try to get by Jesse Stevens. White flag in the air. One more lap in the season at Road Atlanta. Side by side for second. Alessandrini, if he finishes here, he'll lock up the championship. Hartley knows that's not going to do it. He needs that 91 to lose 2 spots, and right behind him are those 2 spots. Can Stevens and Borden get by DJ Alessandrini?
Yeah, Hartley really can't do much to try to influence this. I mean, I guess he could try to do what he can to back up Alessandrini into them, but he can't afford to let the 91 get past him.
It's a risk to back him up, though, because if you back him up, he could use that draft on the back straightaway as well. It's going to be just a half a lap left once they crest turn number 5. The final race of the season, the white flag officially waving on the last lap of the season. Here comes Alessandrini. Can he build a run? He doesn't need to win this race. Do you think he'll try?
I don't think he will. Again, if he tries to make a pass and he fails, it opens the door for Stevens and Borden behind. Then it's really up in the air. So It's risk versus reward here, and it's if Alessandrini really wants to try to risk it here.
It's only one more straightaway. Look at the run the 91 built off the exit of turn 7. And behind him, the two drivers that could take it all away, Jesse Stevens and Borden. Can they build a run big enough to get by? Looks like Borden's going to go side by side behind him. Here comes DJ to the left this time. Just like a mirror of the first race, Alessandrini tries driver's left.
Yeah, he's going to try to win this on the track here. They're going to be both side by side. Who's deeper on the brakes down to turn 10?
Final two corners, turn 10A and 10B. Before they head up the hill, Alessandrini clears Hartley for the lead. Two more corners left. He climbs the hill. For Hartley, it's not going to be enough. DJ Alessandrini, after an incredible last lap pass, will come on through, and Alessandrini will win the race, and he will win the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge.
And how about that? At the very end, in the last few corners, he takes it away. Fantastic job for the 91, winning both races tonight.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The highest pressure moment this guy has ever been in. He handled it perfectly. A last lap pass. And that should, pending approval, be the 2019 championship.
Oh, it's just some sort of math witchcraft.
I don't know. I don't want to say it, Finian, but the 91 should be our champion. And soaking it all in, this has been an incredible year of growth for this young man. With Grid Life Touring Cup, his Honda Civic that he's been building and working on it there, improving that car, driving at Road America, Road Atlanta, Gingerman Raceway, and more. Mid-Ohio, and the digital versions of each, giving him an opportunity to kickstart his racing career in more than just sim racing and GLTC. DJ Alessandrini, after an incredible season, we're going to talk to him in just a moment, but he should be our 2019 champion. We're going to go to break just for one moment. Don't go anywhere. We want to hear from DJ Alessandrini, Robert Hartley, and more. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to Winding Road Magazine and Sim TV. We're here now with Robert Hartley, the driver who finished second in the race tonight and second in the championship. Robert, an incredible season, fighting to the bitter end. That last lap, you thought maybe if the 91 just lost a couple spots, you might have this locked up, but so close. Talk to us about your night and this whole season.
Well, first off, DJ, congrats to him. He deserves it. So consistent all season, so fast. And yeah, at one point during that last race, I thought I had it. He was sitting in fourth, and I was looking good on my incidents for bonus points. And he battled his way back there and made it a race at the end. And I guess you don't want to be leading on the last lap because it's hard to defend it.
After race number 1, DJ had made that winning pass on the driver's right heading into turn 10. The second time around, you took driver's right. Did you think that was going to be the difference heading into the final corner?
Yeah, either which way you go, the guy behind's got the momentum coming into the corner. It's just hard to defend it. He did a great job.
In terms of the 2019 season, obviously coming up just a little bit short, what's the biggest thing, what's the most important thing that you've learned over the course of this season, and what can you take away from this experience heading into 2020?
You just got to be consistent. So you'll be there at the end. Coming in, I was only 2 points behind DJ, and anything could happen. But man, he drove so great. I don't know if anybody could have beat him.
All right, Robert Hartley, second in race number 2 tonight, just a couple points short of the chance to kickstart the racing career. Robert, thanks so much for talking. Congratulations. It was still an incredibly great season for you as a whole, and I want to wish you congratulations on your second place finish, and hope we'll see you around again in the future.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for y'all putting on the broadcast, and Dave Fitzgerald and John Allen for putting all this together for us.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Robert. We'll see you later. Moving on now to Michael Borden, who drive the number 42 car tonight. Michael, a great race, actually 2 great races for you. Competitive and up at the front. Just needed a little bit more. Just walk us through that race, battling with the championship contenders. How did that feel for you? And just walk us through that final moment on the last lap, trying to get by those 2 championship contenders with Jesse Stevens.
Oh man, it feels great. I've got a lot quicker this season. These guys are super fast, so I'm just glad that I've started to keep up with them now these last couple of weeks, and especially this week. And I thought I maybe had a chance if I timed it right coming out of that last chicane there, but Jesse was too much alongside of me, and we just went too wide, and I couldn't carry enough speed to get around DJ or Robert.
Looking back at the season as a whole, how much do you think you've improved as a driver, and how much did you learn, not only for application to this car, but also to just race cars and iRacing in general?
Oh, I've definitely improved a ton. I think I had some decent pace in the qualifying earlier in the season, but I always struggled in the races. I could put down some good laps, but I think it was just consistency and making some silly mistakes here and there. But yeah, I definitely got a lot faster, and I'm hoping it helps me in my real car going into next series.
All right, Michael. Hey, congratulations on another top 5 result and a great end of the season here at Road Atlanta. Thanks for talking to us, and I hope we'll see you around again in the future.
Thanks, and thanks for Winding Road and Level Up and Rick Motect and everybody involved with this. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate everything they've done.
All right, thanks so much. We'll see you later. All right, we got another man in the booth now. I think we're talking to Chris Henn, the driver of the number 33. Chris, the penalty was devastating in your chance to go up there and try to outdrive those guys, but still, you have to look back at this season as an overall success. Should be third in the point standings after everything settles out, but just your thoughts on both races tonight, the penalty, and your season as a whole, driving that number 33.
Disappointing, but happy at the same time. I ran well, and the first race I battled for the win, and I was leading for a while, and I really couldn't ask for much more than that. DJ and them guys just ran me down, and the penalty on the last lap, that was I don't know, it could have gone both ways, but nothing really I can do now. But I don't know, I think it was kind of a racing thing. And the second race, there was really not much I can do but just try my best to run those guys down, and I just ran out of time at the end there. And a couple more laps, maybe I could have got up with the front guys, but just ran out of time.
Looking back at the 2019 season as a whole, do you have any regrets about this experience, or was it an entirely positive for this entire experience from start to finish?
The only regrets, Kyle, were the first 4 races. I mean, I had some good races, a good race and then a bad race in the same night, and then just about all 4 of the first races, that's the way it was, and I just had to play catch up the whole season, the rest of the season, and the second half of the season, I ran really good. I think I picked up the most points out of everybody in the second half. So I'm happy with the second half. Happy as a whole. It was a great season. Just tremendous fun with these guys. I love racing with these guys, and a lot of pressure going into tonight, but it finished up pretty good.
Chris Henn will be 3rd in the championship, 5th in race number 2, an incredible drive, but just not quite enough for the championship this season. Chris, thanks so much for talking to us. Good luck. We'll see you around. Thanks so much for talking.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you.
A last lap pass, a last lap move down to the inside of Robert Hartley. He needed to gain a spot to win the championship, and DJ, you did it. You did it. You did it. One pass that final corner. Walk us through your season. Walk us through that lap. That was an incredible drive. Congratulations on your championship. What a crazy experience, and you got to be thrilled right now.
Yeah, I'm a little lost for words, honestly. Full disclosure, I cried at the end of that race. This means so much to me, and all the guys in the series are just so supportive, and every single one of them came over and congratulated me, and it was a little overwhelming. And I have to thank John Allen for telling me to do this. He didn't even give me an option in the beginning. He's like, "Go do the thing. You don't have a choice." And one race after the other, things just kept going well, and I thought, "Oh yeah, this is probably temporary. Like, there's no way this is just going to keep happening." And then it just kept going, and I just, so many sacrifices were made this year, as far as like my own personal well-being, financial end, relationship with my fiance, even though she's like the most supportive person ever. Like, it all takes its toll for the year I had with Grid Life Touring Cup and trying to be prepared for these races. And all that sacrifice, it feels good that it came out to be something. And I thank all those people that were around me when I had to be as laser focused as I was, and for putting up with me and just supporting me even when they didn't really have to. Special thanks goes out to Paul Darling. He was my practice buddy for the last couple weeks, and we learned a lot off of each other. And he pushed me to be better. And yeah, it's just there's a million people to thank. The chat was blowing up with go DJs, so thank you to all of them. I could feel your love through my VR headset, so thank you so much for all those. And it's just it's a great series, and it's full of a bunch of awesome guys, and I'm just thrilled that I somehow came out on top. It's just I'm blown away.
Describe the feeling coming down turn number 12 in the lead, knowing you were going to win. What was that like, and what emotions were you going through as you crossed that line for the last time?
Breathing got difficult. My vision got blurry. Somebody started cutting onions right next to me. I don't know what that was about. They should really figure out a different place to cut some onions. And it was just, I think it was just a bunch of relief, because it's so stressful. I mean, like, mental toughness 101 is you visualize the win, and then before you do the task, you completely let it go. You let go your need to have it. And that was a continuous mental battle throughout the race, where distracting me, like, especially if I was in a position where I'm like, oh, if I'm right here, I win right now. And I'm like, what are you thinking about that? You need to hit that apex. Like, it was a constant mental battle. And And yeah, so it was just a ton of relief when I crossed that finish line that it was over, and then everybody just coming over the mic and congratulating me. It was just, yeah, it made me I felt so much love. It was awesome.
What was once a dream is now reality for you, DJ. You have a selection of prizes, each valued at over $4,000 a piece. Have you put in some thought as to what prize you'll select and which opportunity you're choosing to engage in based off the ones that Winding Road, LevelUp Racing School, and others have contributed?
I got to get some clarification on what each one exactly is. But if the test drive is what I think it is, then for sure that, like, just going out and comparing data with an established pro driver, and yeah, that sounds, with like coaching, and I'm always looking to learn and improve, so that sounds like a great learning opportunity. Yeah, and I hear Coda's pretty fun. I don't enjoy it in iRacing, but I hear it's pretty fun in real life, so that would be also an awesome track to go drive on, and it won't cost me anything. That's pretty cool.
Before you go, DJ, we do want to bring in the series administrator, Dave Fitzgerald, who ran this, put so much time and effort in. Dave, welcome finally to the booth. We want to give you a quick shout out and thank you so much for putting on this series. But of course, we've got DJ Alessandrini in here. What are your words to DJ Alessandrini, the 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge champion?
Well, first of all, congratulations, DJ. You really put in a great effort this year. I don't think there's anyone that deserves this more than you. I know Robert came awfully close, and then if Jesse may have hung around for the entire season, he may have given you a run for your money. Chris Henn, of course, any one of those top 5 to 7 guys would have had a good chance, but your consistency just paid off. Really, really looking forward to you taking this opportunity. I know that you already race now, so it's not as big a deal as it would be for someone who doesn't do it, but I think getting a chance to jump in one of these cars at Circuit of the Americas is probably the chance of a lifetime. So yeah, congratulations.
Sure. Thank you, Dave, for just the consistent job of administrating the league, and you were just on top of everything at all times, and I know that doesn't go without dotting your I's and crossing the T's, and just attention to detail. So on the behalf of everybody in the league, we thank you for just being diligent and just flawless, really.
I appreciate that. It means a lot. We've gone back a couple of years now, and I really enjoy having you, either competing against you when I can keep up with you, which is very rare, or watching you race. And that's just putting this on and trying to make it as realistic of a simulation as we can possibly get was my goal. And I think the guys enjoyed that part about it. But thank you for the kudos. There's a labor of love.
I could tell.
DJ Alessandrini is your 2019 SPEC MX-5 SimRacing Challenge champion. DJ, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later, but we're going to move on now to continue with Dave Fitzgerald. Dave, again, thank you so much for putting this on, but just talk to us about this experience as a whole, from start to finish, all the work that went into this. What's it like to see this come to fruition and crown a champion at the end of the year?
Well, it seems like I just blinked and the series is over, even though, it started in February. And that was when the actual racing started. But we, over Christmas break of last year, I just cold called Tom Martin and asked him if he'd heard of iRacing, heard of simulated racing, and we took it from there. He's very receptive, and as you heard from this morning, earlier today in the broadcast, he knows what he's talking about. He's a pretty successful guy. So if he thinks it's worthwhile following up on, then, and I'd have to say that it really is worthwhile. What I was looking for initially for this was to get the best iRacers that we could get, probably 40 to 50 of them, and we started off really, really well. And the field kind of leaned out towards the end, and I think we can do something about that next year if we hold a second season. But I think the racing was top notch. Every event got better. You guys do a great job of covering this. I'm amazed that you can remember everybody's names, let alone pronounce them. And I just feel like we really put on a good product, which is what I think sim racing needs to become more legitimate.
It's been an incredible series, an incredible season. Dave, thank you so much for your commitment and for your time and effort putting into this series. It really shows. It was a great season, but we thank you again for all your time, and hopefully we'll be back again next season.
Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate your time, and John Allen for his work behind the scenes with all the setups, and everybody that had anything to do with this, the Winding Road guys, the people in the Winding Road office. There's a couple people back there that help me every couple of weeks with the paperwork that nobody really wants to know about. But again, thank you again, and hopefully we'll do this all in 2020.
I hope so as well. Thanks, Dave. So, Finian, I guess we're going to wrap this up here tonight after crowning our champion, DJ Alessandrini. Finally, the season has come to a close, and we're going to have to let this go under for a couple months. We'll hopefully be back in 2020, but just this broadcast, 120 hours of view time from those at home. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tens of thousands of views over the course of the season for this very unorthodox programming on a channel that's not necessarily dedicated to racing. Winding Road actually has a racing channel, but their magazine channel was larger, and they said, hey, why don't you come on here and do it here on a much larger stage? And they allowed us to do that. So we want to thank Winding Road. We want to thank our other sponsors, Paradigm Shift, for coming on board sponsoring the season, as well as Rick Motech and LevelUp Racing School. If you want to find out exactly what prize DJ Alessandrini will choose to go to, you can follow him on his social media and see what endeavors he goes on in the next couple months, and follow his season next year in the Grid Life Touring Cup as well, because that is probably where he'll be for most of the year. So again, my name is Kyle Heyer. I'm joined by Finney Nakuna. We want to thank also Jackson Robillard, who's been behind the scenes tonight, who is also a competitor in the Global MX-5 series. So thank you, Jackson, for coming on tonight and helping us. John D. Allen for the setups. Peter Enzer for joining us tonight for an interview. Tom Martin for allowing all this to happen. It's been an incredible season, an incredible year. We hope to be back in 2020. If you want to find out more about us, the commentator, and want to watch more of our content, you can head over to www.youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting. Hit that red subscribe button. Racing 7 days a week, almost all year long. We've got some incredible racing along with DJ Alessandrini and more of this group racing next Wednesday, the DC Region SCCA, as they return to SimTV. So thank you so much for everything this year to everybody out there watching. Congratulations to DJ Alessandrini. He's your 2019 SPEC MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge champion. We'll see you next year.